your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey, this is Alex Stevenson from SeemsGoodMagic.com. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod. More Dragon's Maze spoilers are coming out as of the time of this podcast. Not all have been spoiled, but it's pretty close. It's like 144 or something like that. So Jake and I continue to go through those and talk about them, and some pretty cool cards. Yeah, some really cool shout-outs to the past, old cards, and bringing them back up again. In the new standard, so it's going to be interesting, and I'm really excited for this limited format. Go to SeemsGoodMagic.com if you haven't looked at our draft videos already. I made the website, and I put up all sorts of brand new content as often as I can, usually 3 to 4 draft videos a week. I fully support me by going to my eBay store, purchasing some singles, play sets. I'm on eBay, so the prices are very competitive. It's much cheaper than the bigger competitors. I also, this podcast is brought to you by VarenCamp.com. Scott Varenkamp designed my website. I still use him for updates to the website, and he's a great web designer. So go to VarenCamp.com, VerenKamp.com. You can contact me about this podcast if you have criticisms or if you just want to talk to me at mortarpod@SeemsGoodMagic.com, and I check that pretty frequently. Follow us on Twitter at SeemsGoodMagic. You can see when we're live streaming and when I upload new content. Live stream times are scheduled Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, and Jake and I have been doing that for the last couple weeks now, and we've had some positive feedback on that. People have been stopping by and saying, hey, so feel free to do so. I'd love to talk to you guys. I really just want to build a community of like-minded people. So I just started a blog on SeemsGoodMagic.com as well, and that'll just give you periodic updates about what I'm doing and what my plans are. So enjoy this podcast, and I think we're all equally excited for Dragon's Maze.
All right, Alex and Jake back, and we've got some more Dragon's Maze spoilers for you. They're not all out yet, but
not till Monday at least, so
yeah,
we'll see.
All right, so let's talk about some more of them. Maze Sentinel is actually a new one I haven't seen yet. 5 and a white for a 3/6 vigilance, and multicolored creatures you control have vigilance, and it's an elemental. It's kind of a weird picture for an elemental.
Yeah, this is part of a cycle for like each color.
Oh, I see.
And
so
they
there's going to
each
be
grant
sentinels
like
as well. Huh?
yeah, just a basic keyword ability. Yep, one for each color, and I think they're all 6 mana as well, and they're all elemental.
So there's like, are there multiple like hierarchies within Dragon's Maze? Because they've also got like the gatekeepers too.
Well, these are like guards of the maze itself and produced by the maze. I think. So, whereas the gatekeepers are like unknowingly guarding the maze, but they guard the gates. These are actually produced by the gate, I think. And so, is that what you're saying? Or what?
I was just saying hierarchies is in like cycles of like ranked creatures, like the Maze Sentinels, and then there's going to be another Sentinel for a different color. Is that right?
There'll be one for each color, yeah, that grants
And then,
an ability for multicolor.
Yeah, so then I was just thinking like gatekeepers, there's one for each color with that. And then there's also like I guess the commanders for each
guild.
Yeah, there's like a commander for each guild.
Well, I mean, there's always cycles. Like the split cards are all a cycle too, and so they'll just always be doing cycles.
Okay.
I guess I don't know what.
Yeah. Totally. No. I mean, I guess I just saw it as like a ranking or something, but what do I think about a 6 mana 3/6 vigilance? Multicolored creatures you control have vigilance. It's not very good, I guess. It does have vigilance though, so
yeah,
it's certainly like playable.
Anyone with flyers would probably like this. if they were multicolor flyers. So maybe in the America flying deck or USA. I don't know what you call it.
Mm-hmm.
Air
Yeah.
America. That's what we decided to call it.
Yeah, totally. I think it's playable in that. Other than that, I think it's pretty low on the pick order just because it's expensive and you're not getting a ton of power for it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's interesting ability. Are they all gonna have? Did you say they were all gonna have something similar to that, where it's multicolored creatures you control?
Yep.
Okay.
They'll all have that ability. The
Just
multicolored
different
creatures.
abilities for each,
Yeah.
and then they'll have the ability that they're giving.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we talked about Renounce the Guild, Sunspire Gatekeepers. This one I think we didn't. Yeah, we didn't talk about this. So this is Wake the Reflections. It's 1 white, and it's a sorcery, and it's just populate. So that's kind of interesting. What do you think about this card?
It's very narrow, but I guess in the right deck it could be very good too.
I like it alongside Advent to the Worm.
Mm-hmm. That's cool for it.
Mm-hmm. What else would be good with it? I guess any of the 3/3s, and it is a common too.
Mm.
I mean, it kind of sucks. There's times where you just can't use it, but actually, I mean, there's times where I feel like that could come up huge if you're getting the right token build.
If you're in like Bant, you could play with rapid hybridization to give yourself the frog lizard token or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, totally.
So there's a lot of 3/3 or more tokens out there, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. It is sorcery to note, so it's not like crazy 1 mana instant populate.
No, which would be really
yeah. That'd probably have to be uncommon at least.
Yeah, which would be fine.
Yeah, but this is a cool card, and I think this is definitely going to see some limited play. And I'm actually debating whether or not this could see constructed play in some weird token.
Yeah, doesn't really work with Geist of Saint Draft, so.
It works with what was I gonna say? It works with Cackling Counterpart, which is kind of cool.
That is cool, actually.
Copy a Thragtusk and then pay another white and Thragtusk, I guess, but maybe just overkill, unnecessary. But still, definitely gonna see some limited play. I mean, a Selesnya deck would love this. And that was the kind of, I guess one thing to note about the Selesnya deck, though, was that it didn't necessarily have to go the populate route. It was also just the Selesnya beatdown deck. And I don't know which one I like more. They both had their pluses and minuses, yeah. But, so that was kind of interesting. Like, multiple people could play Selesnya. I remember in Return to Ravnica and have, like, completely different types of that Selesnya deck.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, the next card is Maze Glider, and this is another one within that cycle of the Sentinel, Maze Sentinel. So Maze Glider is you see, I guess I thought that's what it was. I thought they all were like Sentinels. I didn't realize that they all had
different names.
They're just the same creature type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one's an elemental. Yeah, I thought there was like the Gatekeepers cycle. I thought it was like a Sentinel cycle.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize it was just like each one it's just a different.
They're all part of the maze.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think they'll have in common as a name.
It's interesting that this cycle in the same set is also like a low power, high toughness so far. Just like the Gatekeepers.
I think the other ones are different eventually, but yeah. Like
okay. So it's just just the blue and the white ones.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, the Maze Glider is a 6 mana, 3/5 flyer, and multicolored creatures you control have flying. I feel like this one is actually
very good. Yeah.
This one, it probably works a lot like how Sapphire Drake works in Triple Gate Crash, where it's just like surprise. Oh my gosh, fly now.
Yeah, and I like that he takes down a Spirited Skywatch by himself. Can block pretty much anything as well. This guy's really good.
He is good. I agree. Sorry, I just want to make sure our webcam is still... Yeah, it's good. How would you rate it? I guess it's not necessarily like a first pick by any means, but
I wouldn't be upset to get it late, though.
Yeah.
It's similar in my eyes to a Spirited Skywatch.
It's a mana more than like a Tower Drake. But you get an extra power and you get an extra ability with it. It seems like it's worth its cost pretty well.
Oh, you mean Mind Eye Drake? Or
Yeah, Mind Eye Drake. Which one did I say?
You said Tower Drake.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mind Eye Drake at 5 is a 2/5. But yeah, this card's interesting. I think it'll definitely see some limited play.
I'm trying to think of which blue multicolored guild wants this the most. Probably.
I mean, Simic wouldn't mind it either, but even though they've already got Sapphire Drake.
Yeah, but this at common means it'll be easier to pick up than Sapphire Drake out of 1-pack.
That's true. Okay. Opal Lake Gatekeeper we already talked about. Okay, this one we did not. Uncovered Clues. 2 and a blue, sorcery. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 instant and or sorcery cards from among them and put the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Alright, Jake, well, you're the control player. Why don't you kind of tell me how you feel about this card?
It's kind of unfortunate that it's a sorcery, I suppose. I don't really see it having much value, I guess, in a control deck right now. Maybe post-rotation, but Forbidden Alchemy is just probably better.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I could see that. Is there any deck that could possibly abuse this?
If something happens, it'll probably be like a blue-red spell-based deck. I guess you could play this with a deck that was playing Delver of Secrets and other stuff like that, where you just know that you've got tons of spells in your deck anyway. But I don't think it's particularly good, I guess, in any deck that we've seen right now.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It's a little bit underpowered. I mean, it's kind of cool that it works in multiples, that if you reveal it, I mean, you can get another one, but it doesn't necessarily help you.
Yeah, I think it would have been a lot cooler as like
I wish it filled your graveyard like Forbidden Alchemy did.
Yeah, or if it let you reveal any number, and maybe it was an uncommon, so more like Lead the Stampede.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree totally. But then I feel like I bet you could really just load up your deck.
There's nothing that really stacks your deck right now.
It wouldn't. I'm not even talking about that. Just like your distribution would be like insane towards instant sorceries.
Yeah, but it is a sorcery, like.
Yeah, I don't think it would be overpowered. That would have just been really powerful.
Yeah, it would have been really cool to refill your hand with a lot of good stuff.
Or like Searing Spears and Pillars and stuff. A burn deck that just like loads up again.
It would be really cool, but
unfortunately it's only 2, right? So it is a little bit more narrow. Honestly, it could have been 2 mana. I think I would have felt comfortable with this at 2 mana.
Yeah. Sorcery is just so limiting.
Yeah.
And maybe this could have been just double blue.
Either 2 mana or instant, one or the other. And I think it would have been fine. But you're right. The fact that it's a sorcery means control is really not going to find opportunities to play it without getting punished by an aggro deck.
Right.
That sucks. All right. Well, we talked about Blood Scrivener. The next one is the Maze Abomination. So, assuming once again this is part of the cycle. Oh, I see. So they're all mazed animals. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
They just have a different label at the end. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. 6 mana, 5 and a black, 4/5, Death Touch, and multicolored creatures you control have Death Touch. What do you think about the picture on this one?
It's crazy. It doesn't look very elemental-y. It looks straight up insectile, but
I agree.
I'll accept elemental just because of the purplish like energy near its mouth and legs, I guess.
And I feel like elementals encompass a lot of different looks.
Yeah.
Because there's been like the I can't think of his name, the blue one that draws you the 2 when you evoke it.
Muldrifter. But that's like the Lorwyn ones were supposed to be like a mashup of, creatures, put to a thought or an idea. So that was their idea behind all of those and why they looked so animalistic, but not any animals that you can identify, or you can identify all the animals except it's not one that you know by itself. But on different planes, they just represent different things, and elementals are always a representation of something, and that's just the nature of it. So like the Maze Sentinel looks like a giant guardian, faceless guardian. And the Maze Glider is, I don't know, it looks like a ribbon on the wind, kind of, in my opinion. And this one looks like a gross insectile worm.
Yeah, it does.
Going to devour somebody. But it's also funny, 4/5 Death Touch. I always think it's funny when they do large power Death Touch.
Yeah, you're right. It feels a little bit unnecessary, but it's actually not. It means he beats in well on players.
Yeah, and people can't double block him well either because he has Death Touch and he's got such large power. So
I think this card's actually pretty playable. 4/5 Death Touch.
This is a great limited card.
Is it? Sure. Yeah, in limited, I meant for sure. But it's a good body for it. That's pretty efficient at 6 mana, 4/5 Death Touch common.
Typically, it's not bad to give all of your creatures Death Touch either.
Oh yeah.
It gives new relevance to a Rakdos whatever Shred Freak late game.
Oh, totally. And black typically doesn't get super efficient creatures, and this one is kind of an exception to that because even though it is a little bit underpowered on the power, so it's not like a 6-mana 5/5. The Death Touch upgrade is pretty good, and having another ability on top of that. This is actually pretty efficient common black creature.
Yeah, and so far this one actually trumps the other two that we've seen. Kills them both in combat.
Yeah, and survives.
And survives.
That's true.
So,
the blue one, I guess, is just arguably better because it gives evasion, so it'd be arguably better, I guess, like offensively, but this is better offensively and defensively too, so that's kind of cool.
And he can beat in while the rest of your multicolored creatures sit back. So it adds a lot of depth to, multicolored creature decks, I guess.
Yeah, I guess this could be a relatively early 6-drop pickup, honestly. I don't know how early, but maybe 4th to 6th pick or something. I feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right, Maze Rusher is the next one, still in the cycle. 5 and a red, 6/3 haste. Multicolored creatures you control have haste. How do you feel this one ranks? I guess I'm a little underwhelmed because it's 6 mana, 3 toughness.
The multicolored creature ability, like granting, doesn't really do anything. Granting haste doesn't really do anything at 6 mana.
Yeah, it's because you've already probably peed out your hand. So then...
if you're the deck that wants to get in with all your guys and have haste, you've already done it, But it is nice that he has haste, so he can rush in. I mean, he's bigger than a Tenement Crasher, so... Yeah,
totally. I think he'd be good in Rakdos with, like, if you have Hellhole Flailers, multiple of them, or Spawn of Rixmati.
Yeah. Something to follow those up with.
So, at least if you get them off the top.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true.
Hellhole Flailer would be insane, because for 7, you could attack in plus blow them up, so it's like 8 damage swing.
Yeah, right in line with the turn progression, so that could be cool.
Yeah, it would be with the turn progression, too. That's funny. It'd be a hell of a turn progression.
Yeah.
Maze Rusher.
Swing for 10, hit for 4 more.
I think Maze Rusher probably go relatively late. Tinman Crasher tended to go later, too.
And this guy actually has less relevant abilities and is easier to kill. But he does deal more damage. So
yeah, he's good, better on an empty board, I guess. Yeah. So it's kind of a weird picture.
It is.
I'm trying to think what it is.
It looks metallic in nature, or like maybe made of iron with one molten arm, and then so maybe like supposed to be representing a smelting furnace or something like that. I don't know.
Where's like the head? Maybe I'm missing it.
I think that part that's kind of in the center, yeah, that is the head.
And you're just looking at it from above.
And this is one arm here, and that's the other arm there, grabbing, and those are knees.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we're kind of looking at it from above. Because
it's weird that these
are the smelting areas anyway.
It's weird that they chose that angle to show the perspective of the shot, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't really give us an idea of it rushing anywhere.
Yeah,
to be perfectly honest.
So, who did the art on that one?
Yang Hao Han. I actually really liked all of his art, or hers. I guess I don't really know for sure. Their art that they did in Return to Ravnica, they did all the, well, not all of them, but a cycle of basic lands.
And they did a good job.
Yeah, theirs were my favorite, I think.
Cool.
I apologize for saying theirs, but I just don't know. So
I also apologize for ragging on your Maze Rusher.
Yeah. But... we just don't get it.
Did we do Possibility Storm last time? We did? Okay. Ooh, excuse me, was that me or you?
Was that me or you? Trying to pass the blame on me.
Pyrewild Shaman. I don't think we talked about this one.
Okay. This one's interesting, too.
2 and a red, 3/1 Goblin Shaman. Ooh, Shaman, my favorite. Is it an uncommon? Or is that rare? Oh, it's a rare. Okay. It has Blood Rush for 2. And it gets +3/+1. Target attacking creature gets +3/+1 until end of turn. And whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, if Pyrewild Shaman is in your graveyard, you may pay 3. If you do, return it to your hand. Sweet.
If you have enough mana, you can use a first strike creature to Blood Rush onto, and then get it back. after first strike
And then
combat
use it
damage,
again.
and use it on another creature.
If you have like 7
mana. Yeah.
Still,
And
that's cool.
if you have 10, you can get it back again. So this card is actually very cool. It's a very good limited card. Attack with it early on. Play it as a 3/1 for 3.
Yeah, it's not like super efficient at rare, but the ability is definitely long-winded enough where it kind of constitutes.
It's a late game strategy in a with Blood Rush basically.
I mean, recycling a creature that recycles itself is actually really good, and this one in particular because then you get to self-mill. You're like rewarded for self-mill too. You can even get it back then.
Yeah,
like we're almost have enough creatures in standard at this point where you could have a deck of just recycling creatures like grave crawlers, this guy,
the plant zombie from this set as well.
I guess any scavenge creature technically gives your graveyard value, but I feel like there's even more than that. I mean, you have all the flashback spells too from Innistrad.
Yeah.
So there's really like
the sky's the limit
for your graveyard. You can really make it any resource. What's that one from Corset too? That like you return to your hand when you play a swamp? Veilborn Ghoul.
Oh yeah.
So that's
I don't like that one that much.
I don't like it very much either, but it also recycles. What's like the upgrade that we talked about?
It's the one in this set.
Yeah, what is it?
Plant zombie, rot farm
zombie. That's the dude you were talking about. Yeah. That guy is good. The one that mills you 4.
Yeah.
And then how do you get him back?
I think he goes right onto the battlefield if you do the mill 4, but you have to pay 4 and mill 4.
That guy is.
We'll see him eventually.
Yeah. I like
double check.
I like that guy. But anyway, Pyro Shaman. You could first pick it fairly comfortably. It's a 3-drop.
If you're in Gruul, it's definitely something to pick up if you see it. I like it.
Recycling. I mean, it's value. Anytime you're getting card advantage in red for like an efficient cost, you should feel really good. Card advantage, creature spells, whatever.
Is this the card that makes Tibalt playable?
I don't think so. We just talked about how you can kind of fill your graveyard. Tibalt would work well in a deck where it didn't matter what you discarded. But that's not even true because you could end up discarding land and like screwing yourself. So. I don't know why Tibalt's such a liability, but it's because of random. He was an experiment in 2-mana planeswalkers, and they played it way too safe. They played it like the safest way they knew possible, which was do a random effect.
If they wanted to like really depower his +1 ability, they should have made it be draw 1, discard 2. And then it's like, well, I'm screwed if I use his ability like too much,
Yeah,
it helps me like filter a little bit, but it's such a huge liability already.
That would be that would be really difficult to draw 1, discard 2.
Yeah.
There's like so few. There's actually like way fewer opportunities you even get to do that. You have to have like minimum 3 cards in your hand to like not completely screw yourself.
Or they could have made it like draw more cards and discard less at random. Like draw 3, discard 2 at random, or something like that.
Yeah, and there's been cards printed in red that would go along with. I forget what the name of it is, but there is one that's like draw 3, discard 2, or something at random. I thought.
Yeah, there is, but
not Burning Inquiry, is it? Or
Burning Inquiry is everybody draws 3, discards 3 at random.
We could actually look it up. I have the gatherer right here. What would the text on it be? Draw 3 cards, discard 2.
Oh, it's Desperate Ravings, isn't it?
I think that's draw 2, discard
1 at random.
Oops.
You did text only, so.
Yeah, and Patrick Chapin kind of championed Desperate Ravings for a little while, which is 2 mana, draw 2 cards, discard a card at random, but it's got flashback. So it actually is like card advantage, but you have to use the flashback, I think, to actually get the card advantage. Because you're using Desperate Ravings and the card you're discarding to draw 2, so it's just like a filter effect. But then once you use the flashback, you are netting a card. But you also
kind of do like Desperate Ravings.
It's interesting. I've played it. I like it more as like a 1 or a 2 of. I think it's better than, but it's like one of the few playable cards that has a random text in it,
Yeah, but you're right. You do only want to play it from your graveyard.
Okay. So Pyro Shaman, pretty good. I don't know if it's always a slam first pick, but I'd probably take it over most things. It's really hard to argue 3 mana spells,
Hmm
2 or 3 mana spells that generate or offer card advantage. I think those are actually just really high picks and
Yeah.
limited.
And if they want to remove this or trade with it in combat, it's already gaining you advantage.
Hmm
So
If it's gonna come
yeah,
back,
yeah.
totally. It's gonna be good with like evasive creatures too, so you can
Mhm.
really guarantee that you get in on that player
Yep.
and always recycle them. Like you
Very
can just
good
keep.
probably in Boros or like the Is It Boros Air America deck. Woo.
Yeah, so flying creatures,
Hmm
unblockable creatures, definitely would be good. Like Keymaster Rogue or whatever would be sweet
hmm
with this Death Call Rogue.
And so at worst, I guess, if you have an unblockable creature somehow, it's a 5 mana for 3 extra damage each turn. But
Hmm
I mean that's not great, but it is something.
Still,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, looks like the green one. So this is the last of the maze cycle. It's 5 and a green for a 5/4 trample, and then it generates trample for your creatures. So they've had cards very similar to this in the past. Path Breaker Worm in Avacyn Restored kind of comes to mind. The
hmm
6 mana Soul Bonder that gives trample.
hmm
So this one only gives to multicolor. This would be good in a Jund list with Hell once again Hellhole Flailor, Spawniverse Meta.
hmm
All those multicolored creatures like that, those really efficiently costed ones, are just going to give
Yeah,
you
big
mega
power
rewards.
guys.
You're going
Yeah.
to get very much rewarded for playing any of these maze guys at that point.
hmm
Like even Flailor Spawniverse Meta with the Maze Glider is very good.
Yeah. All of these except for the
The
red
white
one.
the white one would be pointless with Rakdos creatures
Yeah, it
though.
would be. Yeah. But it wouldn't be bad with like the right Selesnya ones, I suppose. Actually, the white one and the red one probably the least impressive so far. And the blue, black, and green one have all been ones that once you play them on turn 6, they're probably allowing your army to get in a lot more for a lot more damage.
Yeah, and green typically has the most efficient creatures. I'm trying to think of a lot of them from a lot of the high power creatures from Return of Ravnica block that this interacts really well with some of the multicolored creatures.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
I
too.
know which one. The 7 mana 8/8 Vigilance guy
Yeah, that one is
from Return of
amazing.
Yep,
Yeah.
him with Trample, Vigilance Trample, and that guy would be very strong.
hmm
And I guess in that same vein, the thing that produces the land that's an 8/8 Elemental token.
Yeah.
The what is that called?
Grove of the Guardian.
Yeah,
Yep.
Grove of the Guardian would be excellent alongside this. It is a multicolored token, right?
Yep, it is.
Okay.
Green and white.
And is the Advent Worm also a multicolored
No,
token?
that's only green.
Okay.
And that already has trample.
Oh, so point. God, that card is great, by
Yeah.
the way.
It's right there.
Yeah, I think we actually talked about that one already.
We did, but it is great.
It's definitely going to see some constructive play.
Yeah.
I don't know how it
Surprise.
couldn't. It's too well costed to not. I would be surprised if it didn't. I really would. All right. So anyway, Maze Behemoth. It's probably in the middle in
Yeah.
terms of how much I like
think
it.
I think the black and the blue are easily the best,
Mhm.
and this one's the third, and then yeah, white just because the ability is somewhat relevant, and then red because the ability is pretty much irrelevant on the turn you play it, except for itself having haste.
All right, let's move on. Are any of these new? We talked about this. Armed and Dangerous. Did we talk about that one?
I'm pretty sure we saw that one.
Definitely talked about Blood Baron of Vizkopa.
No, I don't think Blood Baron was out though.
Oh, maybe I talked to someone else about that.
Yeah,
Then.
I think you were.
Blabbing about it.
Yeah, I think it was just released on Monday, so
Okay, so it's Blood Baron of Vizkopa. It's a mythic. Sorry about that.
that's okay.
It's 5 mana, 4/4 lifelink, pro white and black. And as long as you have 30 or more life and an opponent has 10 or less life, Blood Baron of Vizkopa gets +6/+6 and has flying. So how do you feel about this card?
It's cool. It's a good mythic. Maybe we did talk about this, but it's okay. We can talk about it again because it is a good mythic.
I feel like we did talk about it, but
Yeah.
regardless, I do think it's a cool mythic. Actually, this card, after reading it a second time, I guess it's worse than I thought. I didn't realize the opponent had to have 10 or
Yeah.
less life. That's kind of an unfortunate aspect of it.
hmm
I thought it was just you had to have 30 or more life.
No, but it still has protection from white and black, two of the more relevant removal colors. You know.
I think it'll be a sideboard
Yeah,
card.
you can't Azorius Charm it. You can't.
That was a big one.
You
That was a
can't
big
dread
reason.
for it. Yeah.
Azorius Charm. I think I've said that Boros Charm was my favorite, but I think I take it back. I think I like Azorius Charm more
It is
because
very good.
it's much better for the colors that it's in. Setting time walking an opponent's like an aggro deck sort of in that way, just is like a mega pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is.
But
Well,
I think this will only see sideboard play because
Yeah.
it's kind of expensive and maybe only as like a one of. It'll pretty much like be resigned to the same fate that like Sigarda is, where it's
Poor
like,
Sigarda.
or it's
She's so good too.
yeah, it's like it's usually like a one of sideboard slot, and I forget why. I think because I forget. I mean, it blocks Restoration Angel, and you don't have to worry about, and it dodges Liliana, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess it blocks a lot of stuff. Devour Flesh.
I'm trying to
and
think
stuff,
what
and-
else it blocks that's important. Its power and toughness is 5/5, right?
Yeah.
5 mana, 5/5 flyer, hexproof,
hmm
and you spells your opponent control can't cause you
I
to.
mean, it does not necessarily fold, but it doesn't stop the Thundermaw Hellkite the turn it comes out.
Yeah, that's true.
But nothing does.
I don't get it. It must have been for something else.
I don't know why.
But
oh well.
yeah, Blood Baron, Mythic, cool. Even if we already talked about
Yeah.
it, I think I actually lowered my rating of it a little bit now that I know the 10 or less life
Needs
stipulation.
flying, like initially, not after the.
And come on,
Special
we
ability.
know we've seen vampires fly. We know they can.
Come on, it's white and black.
All right, have we done all of these?
I think we definitely did breaking and entering because I talked about the other one, Bread for the Hunt. I feel like we've done that one too. Yeah. Council.
We did council. We did catch and.
No, we did not do catch and release.
This is a new one? Okay. Well, I can't read it upside down, so I'm going to have to... Here we go. Catch and release. It is a cross between Izzet and Boros. It's one blue and a red for catch, which is gain control of target permanent until end of turn, untap it. It gains haste until end of turn. Cool. And then the release is Boros colors, just red and a white.
No, it's 4 colorless, a red and a white.
Oh, I didn't see the 4 colorless. Okay, so it's 6 mana. 4 colorless, red and a white. So total, you'd need to pay 9 mana to fuse this spell. But it's each player sacrifices an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, a land, and a planeswalker. Wow. Wowzers.
Wowzers.
What do you think about this?
I guess it's nice. A release you can use on a control player who's got one planeswalker out and one possibly like
a detention sphere,
a living ring or
land,
something like that. Yeah, I mean it's
a
not bad,
cameo,
but I think
Thragtusk.
I think the catch is going to be the one used most, and that's still good against planeswalkers at their ultimate.
I'm trying to think if there's some way you can generate advantage from using release stuff, sacking, giving you value.
Like it's 6 mana,
Yeah.
So a Pox, it's not going to be like a Pox deck. You're not going to be able to do it early enough.
The catch and the release together is kind of cool. I see what it's trying to do because you get to steal their permanent and then you get to sack their permanent and they would have to sack another.
Yeah, so you get to basically guarantee that they sack 2 of one type and you don't sacrifice one of that type.
It's definitely a weird color mashup. Very bizarre, but you would expect something like this in
and I think
huge
release is
crossover
just
set.
it's too expensive, unfortunately.
Should be 5?
Yeah, 5 is, I think, fair. I don't think that there's a one mana per permanent, or no, it's not even, oh no, it is 1 per permanent. Artifact, creature, enchantment, land, and planeswalker. I feel like that would have been fine. And then that's 8 mana for both of them.
Yeah, 9's a little too overpriced. So I think this is a pretty, maybe lower card.
What's the art on? You should go back.
I don't
to
think
this
it's.
one
I don't
and
even.
click on the art here.
Actually, it's totally limited playable if you're playing catch.
Yeah.
Because it is an active treason, a little bit better because it steals permanent. I'm sorry, what do you want to look at?
Just click on the art here. I want to see what they're going for.
So it's like an
elephant.
Oh, it's a Loxodon.
And there's a goblin on the back of it.
Oh, I see. Its eyes are crazy.
Yeah, it's caught, dude.
And then release is...
That looks like a worm getting incinerated to me.
How is that releasing?
It's releasing it from the world, dude.
Oh, I see.
It's obliterating it.
That's kind of cool, then. That's a worm? Oh, it is a worm. I see what you're saying.
I think, but I can't really tell.
Something like it, yeah. Alright. Dead Bridge Chant?
This one's probably new, I think.
I feel like we I feel like we talked about it at your work. It's kind of
Yeah,
getting
I
confusing, I
know.
guess, because we've done so many now. But let's talk about it anyway.
Yeah.
Deadbridge Chant. It's 4, a black and a green mythic enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 10 cards of your library into your graveyard. I think we actually did talk
Yeah, we
about this
did.
one. But anyway, at the beginning of your upkeep, choose a card at random from your graveyard. We can talk about it again, see how we think about it. If it's a creature card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. So anyway, it mills you 10, and then you get to choose a card at random in your graveyard and either put creatures onto the battlefield or put other cards into your hand. So it generates card advantage. It's going to be a staple of EDH, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Very excellent. Very, very excellent in EDH.
Yeah, it's actually, I feel like it's something to ramp into still, even in standard.
Totally, because it's going to generate you card advantage fast.
Yeah.
What do you? So you're talking constructed too?
Yeah, because you can get your ramp spells back too, even if you hit those. I don't know.
You know where I really like it with Kessid Cage Breakers.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool as like a way to kill.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Just
random.
get all of
I mean,
those.
so you don't get it right away.
Yeah, but you could also be playing in burial rights.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's true.
So if you ramp into this, play your cage breakers, you'd want to probably ramp with creatures then. So like Avacyn's Pilgrim and Arbor Elf into I guess you could play Dawn Treader Elk and sack it on turn 2.
Yeah, and that's
For the
kind of cool with
ramping growth,
Deadbridge
yeah.
Chant.
And it's also good with Kessid Cage Breakers if you want to go that route, I don't know, something to think about, but I like this card.
It would be kind of cool if you didn't want to do the Cage Breaker route. You could even do a controlled graveyard thing. So like a one-of Harvest Fire maybe, when you want to like do a little cleanup of what.
And that's actually a really good use of this card as like a Jund kind of graveyard recursion control.
So if you with Harvest Fire, you could just cherry pick your graveyard and then maybe
clean
get
it up
like
basically, get rid of all your ramp spells and stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just take out everything that's not like a good utility card.
And like, granted, you could get your Harvest Fire back. That's one of the risks of the card, I suppose. But it is something to be able to clean up your graveyard that way.
But overall, I think it's probably not limited playable just because.
That's a huge liability, I think.
It might be. I feel like it actually is limited playable, but you really have to be careful. If you're playing against anybody who's got just a semblance of a mill deck, it's really
one or two balustrade spies or an Undercity Informer.
If they hit a big spy, if they get an Undercity Informer, if you're feeding their Death's Approach, there's so many other things.
There's so many mill cards too. I think this card is a real liability in limited. So you better have a really good strategy to abuse if you're planning on playing it.
And in addition to that, like think about what kind of deck you have to be playing anyway. You need a deck that can allow you to play a 6-drop enchantment that doesn't do anything the turn it comes out. So it's the same with like a Symbol of the Legion. People talk about that card like it is the best card ever.
Yeah.
But I've been beaten with the Symbol of the Legion now. I've beat people with the Symbol of the Legion now. I would say I've beat it much more than I've lost to it, to be honest. And I've never like really dominated that much with it. I've beat people with it a couple times, but it's slow and it doesn't do anything the turn you play it, and it doesn't really do much the second turn it's out. It's a very slow engine. It's a very powerful but slow engine.
And for 5 mana, you do want something that impacts the board the turn you play it.
Like if your opponent has any sort of evasion, flyer, or unblockable strategy, it's usually not enough. They will kill you long before you're a symbol.
Yeah, Drakewing Crisis is the ultimate undoing of
a Symbol of Legion. Yeah, that's where it erases it so much faster. Yeah. But because of that, I think Deadbridge Chant not super playable and limited, just a little too much reliability. Deputy of Acquittals we talked about. Dragon Shift. Now this is one. New. Okay. Dragon Shift is a rare. It's an instant. 1 colorless, a blue and a red. It's an Izzet card. Kind of a cool picture on it. Until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a 4/4 blue and red dragon, loses all abilities, and gains flying. And it has Overload for 3, 2 blue, and 2 red. So 7 mana, all your creatures become 4/4 blue and red dragons, and they lose all abilities and gain flying. It's interesting that they lose all abilities.
I suppose if you have any defenders, like Doorkeeper
cool,
and stuff like that.
That's a good point.
It's a good way to get those guys in.
So if you have 5 creatures, it's just a kill. It's at least 20 damage.
It's a strategy to build around. If you open this card, you can, and you're in draft.
Totally playable in Axebane.
Axebane Guardian.
Yeah, Axebane Guardian.
But that's actually a good point. But I was thinking
just for overloading.
Even in if you had the Frostburn Weirds, the Cyclops, and just the big toughness guys that just sit there and dirtle around, and then play this to win the game, that could be really good.
Totally. Yeah. Frostburn Weird was such a high pick in Return to Ravnica. It was probably one of the best. It was one of the better 2 drafts,
I'd say.
There's been, and all those cards that are like 4 toughness, 2 mana, they've done it before. I'm trying to think where it was like. I guess Perimeter Captain in white was a 1 mana 4 toughness with another ability on top of it. So that was kind of a cool card. But I feel like there was even another one that was a 2 mana 4 toughness blue creature.
It's Doorkeeper. It's the 0/4.
Yeah. I'm thinking of one more even that was like Plated Sea Strider.
Oh, you mean just in general? Yeah, Plated Sea Strider.
Because I meant like historic like cards at 2 mana that have 4 toughness. They're not a ton of them.
They're not. No.
That's a very powerful. That's a very high amount of toughness for that amount of mana. Blue, I guess, in the past had all the walls with the super high like Wall of Frost comes to mind as like 3 mana.
Glacial Wall.
Is that from Ice Age?
Yeah.
God, the picture is kind of coming to my mind on that one. Now I need to look at it.
Oh, they're so good.
Glacial Wall.
I'd like to look up Wall of Frost.
Glacial Wall is 2 in a blue. I want to do the Ice Age picture. Yeah. This picture. The wolf looking at the wall. 2 in a blue, 0/7 wall. Yeah. And what was the one I said? It was
Wall of Frost.
Wall of Frost. This one is essentially just an upgrade from Glacial Wall. This is 1 and 2 blue for a 0/7.
And this art is sweet.
And whenever Wall of Frost blocks a creature, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. This card was actually reasonable in core set. I remember drafting it occasionally in M10 and M11.
I like this card a lot.
It is kind of a crazy picture. Anyway, back to the spoilers. Dragon Shift, good rare. Now, do you think I don't even know if it's a slam first pick though. I think
because Izzet is generally not that good in limited, this could be a first pick that could push you into a very defensive Izzet style deck. And you could just benefit from this one bomb card at one point in the game.
Yeah, it's a little bit too narrow in my opinion, to be a slam first pick. Because, I mean, you really just want to overload it if you think about it. Think of this card as 7 mana. It's not that great at 3 mana. It's really not that great at all. So just for 3 mana, not being able to get a ton of value out of it kind of makes me think it's much more of a mid-game pick. I think it's a good finisher idea, and you can get it hopefully on the wheel or something. But
people probably let it go.
Yeah, totally.
For a while.
Totally. So I think definitely not a slam first pick. All right, the next one is Imara Tandris, 7 mana, 5/7 legendary elf shaman. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to creature tokens you control. That's kind of cool. What do you think about this card?
I am really disappointed with her power toughness and the fact that she's an elf.
She doesn't look that strong that she should have 7 toughness, but
5 power is even completely unreasonable.
The picture is of a woman standing in a tree like throne. It's like a tree enclosure or something.
It just looks like a tree podium of some sort. I don't know.
But she does not look like a woman that would be a 5/7.
Yeah.
She looks like a woman that'd be like a
She is a healer, so I can understand 7 toughness, if her magic is about healing.
She just casts complete heal on herself.
Yeah, but like 5 power is so unreasonable for a healer.
So here's the thing, she should be more like a 2/7 or a 3/7.
Yeah, I think they could have made her cheaper.
5 mana 2/7 with that ability.
Yeah, they could have made her more like Indomitable Ancients.
Now is she part of a cycle as well?
She's the guild champion for Selesnya.
Oh wow. Yeah, she's a little bit underpowered, I guess. Just a bit too expensive.
Yeah, she's way over the top for what the rest of the
guild and the abilities. The ability's a little bit narrow.
super narrow.
Yeah, it's cool though. The cool thing about it is it makes all your tokens become chump blockers or good attackers,
Mm-hmm.
and it's prevent all damage. So it's not even combat. They can't burn your tokens anymore.
Yeah.
Still can use removal spells, and still can like Augur Spree, which is in block.
She disappoints me.
Mm-hmm.
She has one ability, and
Death's Approach
it's
can
limited.
still be Death's Approach.
Yeah,
But I guess it should be noted Death's Approach isn't that good against the token deck.
that's very true. Yeah.
Okay, so you're right. She's pretty low on the ranking of. I think in fact we had looked at them all except Selesnya and Boros.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one so far is much lower than Exava and the Azorius one, the 5-mana one.
Limnivia or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Lavina.
Far and Away. Did we look at that one already? I
think
don't
we
like
did.
them on here because they're sideways, so they're hard to read. So let's just look at we did Goblin Test Pilot. Let's do Karaz de Gorgon. We did not do this one.
No, this one is new.
So it's 3 colorless, a black and a green for a 2/5 Death Touch. 2 colorless, remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control. Target creature gets -1/-1 until its turn. So cool with Scavenge, cool with Evolve.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this card for limited?
She's a limited house, I think. I think if you want to go into
This reminds me of a card you printed. Didn't you have a Gorgon with Death Touch too?
Mm-hmm. Well, I did a few, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the black one that like pinged creatures.
Yeah, there's one that pings creatures, and then there was one that sacked itself to deal 1 damage, and it had Death Touch, so that's actually pretty close to this,
This card's cool though. 5 mana, 2/5 Death Touch. It's the right ratio of power toughness for Death Touch.
Mm-hmm.
You want the high toughness with Death Touch, so it's a very good blocker.
Mm-hmm. And you don't need a lot of power.
And it's also a little X1 killer, so it kills like Drake Wings at the cost of maybe a little Scavenge or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think this would be a fairly high pick, probably like a 3rd to 5th pick.
It's great in the Simic Golgari Evolve deck, if that
maybe a little bit later. It is a 5-drop with low power.
It's big toughness though, so
but it's a defensive spell. Didn't you always get the impression, I don't know how much Golgari you played in Triple Return, but that Golgari was one of the slower strategies.
Yeah,
it was much more of like it always felt clunky, and not always, but there were times where it felt very clunky.
And you wanted to get everything on the curve, but it was really hard to. I feel like in Golgari,
and they weren't hyper efficient creatures.
No,
they were
everybody wanted them still, though.
They weren't efficient power and toughness for cost, but
Yeah.
the fact that they had Scavenge made them very efficient or feel like good value.
Yeah, I think Drudge Beetle was like the best.
Probably,
When,
yeah.
like Sluiceway
Simply-
Scorpion and
yeah.
Sewer Shambler.
Sluiceway always felt good because
Yeah.
you dissuaded attacks, so that alone was doing the job.
But it is sad that Drudge Beetle was like the best that they had.
There's got to be better than that. Was that really the best one?
Well, I mean,
Sewer Shambler was pretty good,
Yeah.
but it wasn't good against the Omega aggro. It was just unless they had 2 toughness.
yeah,
creature.
they had to have the 2 toughness creatures, and at least Drudge Beetle was correct on the curve in the first place.
But I mean, this card, Karaz de Gorgon is definitely going to reward you for playing any of these Scavenge cards.
Or
so.
Evolve. If you
You're-
want to
you're-
go into Simic, this is the card to help you with the Golgari part of
Yeah,
it.
so that's actually a good note about why this card is good, because Karaz de Gorgon is going to let you, in pack 2, when you open your Gate Crash, be like, is Simic open? Can I make Simic work with this? And if not, you get your Return to Ravnica pack to be like, okay, I just got to get some good Scavenge cards.
I like her.
I do too. And I mean, you do have to pay 2 and remove the +1/+1 counter, so it's not necessarily, and it's not like a -1/-1 counter that you do. It just is a one-time hit.
Yeah.
So it's not like insanely powerful, but 2/5 Death Touches, it dissuades a lot of attacks. 5 is a really good number to have, actually. There's not a ton of stuff at like, you really have to get to the 5 to 7 mana cost creatures before they can start getting through her, and she's at least going to trade with them.
And she can like weaken them in combat, so she doesn't even trade with them.
Yeah, actually, you're right. That's why so that's really where her ability shines.
She's very versatile. You can ping out their little guys, or you can really totally dissuade them from attacking with their big guys.
If you have the mana and you've got the counters to support
Because
it.
when you think about it, a lot of the creatures, it's 2 to 3 counters that you would have to remove among your creatures to get them down. But I mean, even if they were like Tenement Crasher, 5 power, reducing it by 1 once to kill it or Ruination Worm, reducing it by 3 once to kill it. Those are, very reasonable numbers.
Mm-hmm. This is a really cool card. I like the picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a woman, Gorgon woman. Are they women? They still have like.
They're women.
Aren't they all women?
Most likely, yeah.
I've never seen a male Gorgon before.
I don't think they have them actually, but I don't know how it works.
They bud. They reproduce
fruiting
asexually.
bodies is basically what they do.
But anyway, the picture is her walking in like a slimy sewer tunnel, and she's like, "Is this a dude too?" She's like totally stoned these people.
Yeah, there's several frightened stoned.
It almost looks like she's carrying a skull or a head. Probably a petrified head in her hand. Cool picture, and she's like scraping her finger on the wall.
Mm-hmm. And
so she's just looking like a little badass.
Yeah, and she's saying, "Welcome to my collection" in her flavor text.
Oh yeah, you're right. The flavor text quotes, "Welcome to my collection." It's not often actually that I feel you'd know better than I would that the character that they're referring to on the card is quoted in the flavor text. That's pretty rare, isn't it?
Yeah, creatures don't always get to do it unless they're like particularly roguish and badass, and it makes them like the Borderland Ranger from Avacyn Restored. He's the one talking in his flavor text.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few, but yeah, it's not like the most common thing. It's one of the ones they go to though. That's one of the things to do.
Okay. Do you know any other examples?
Oh, there are a bunch, I'm sure.
Oh, okay.
But I guess I can't think of any more off the top of my head.
Yeah, and that's actually a hard one to like look up too.
Mm-hmm.
Lavinia of the 10th we talked about. Legion's Initiative we did not. So this is a really interesting. Yeah. It doesn't feel mythic, but Legion's Initiative is a Boros card. It is a red and a white enchantment. Red creatures you control get +1/+0. White creatures you control get +0/+1. And then it has red and a white. Exile Legion's Initiative. Exile all creatures you control. At the beginning of the next combat, return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control, and those creatures gain haste until end of turn. Very interesting card. Lets you dodge spot removal. It lets you dodge sweepers.
I see it mostly as a way to dodge sweepers, I guess. Played alongside a Boros Charm. This makes your army, your Boros army, pretty much indestructible.
Pretty resilient to Supreme Verdicts. And this one is one of the very few exceptions that protects you from Terminus.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of cards that protect you from Terminus.
Right.
Usually Terminus was the out to all the important spells, like all the Undying creatures, all the like the Grave Crawlers, the Falconwrath Aristocrats that could survive like Supreme Verdicts.
Mm-hmm. It actually kind of screws over Oblivion Ring and Detention Sphere.
Yeah, you're right. You get a controlled.
Yeah.
You can control what their Oblivion Ring hits.
With Merciless Eviction, they can't name enchantments and hope to get rid of your Legion's Initiative because you can just blink it and all of your creatures out.
And if they name creatures, you blink all your creatures. So it's cool. It's interesting that it's basically.
I don't like it as a mythic, I guess.
Yeah, I think the reason, and I was saying this to somebody else too. I think the reason that it's mythic is it feels like it's an Honor of the Pure plus another ability. So since Honor of the Pure was a rare and it was a 2-mana pump, and this is like 2 mana with Honor plus something that's fairly relevant. That was why they made it mythic. But I agree. I agree that I don't think it should be mythic.
I wish it was just Glorious Anthem instead of the red creatures get the 1 bonus and white creatures get the 1 bonus.
I agree. I want it to be just consolidated. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they did it like that.
And it doesn't combo well with Assemble the Legion. I gotta use it.
Because you can't exile them, yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, it kind of works well with Assemble the Legion. It is at least, like, boosting them on both ends. But overall, I can't imagine this card's worth a ton of money either. Honestly, I think... I'm kind of curious. Let's check what it is pre-ordering on eBay right now. What is the name? Legion's Initiative. And the cheapest, someone buy it now. Someone is selling it for cheapest you can find it on eBay, pre-sale, $11 right now. I don't think that it's worth $11. $11 for the pre-sale on it, on eBay.
On what?
on Legion's Initiative.
Oh.
That seems kind of expensive, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah. I think the pump is so limited, but whatever.
Yeah, it's a little too expensive, I think. But I think it'll end up being probably like a
$4.
$3 or $4 mythic. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
Master of Cruelties we talked about. Melik we talked about. Mirko. Nivik Cyclops. Now here's one we did not talk about. This is a...
I love this card.
I love this card too. It's we'll talk about what it's similar to after I read it. So it's 3 mana. It's an Izzet card. 1 colorless, a blue and a red for a 1/4 defender Cyclops, defending Cyclops. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Nivik Cyclops gets +3/+0 until end of turn, and can attack this turn as though it didn't have defender. So it essentially turns into a 4/4 on turn 4 if you have an instant or sorcery to play. And if you do multiple instants or sorceries, he only gets bigger.
Yeah. Kind of cool with Cackling Counterpart.
Cool with, in my opinion, good with like pump spells, instant or sorcery. You know?
Yeah,
just make them double up bigger. I like this card quite a bit, and I think it's actually very playable in limited, since it's got the 4 toughness for 3 power. I mean, it's very playable in the right deck. You do have to be running, multicolor spells.
I see this actually...
Or an instant or sorcery spells, I mean, specifically, but a lot of those multicolor would work well with... This would be cool in like a power convergence deck, I'm kind of seeing, because there's a lot of multicolor spells that work, and this is multicolor, so it works with your power convergence.
Yeah, I could actually see this card being constructed playable too.
Yeah, that's strange, but I agree. It doesn't have evasion, so I think that's going to be kind of the hurdle that prevents it from making constructed, but...
I think it's actually a better control card than it is an aggressive, like, Kiln Fiend kind of card.
You know what it's good with? It's good with the flashback, this creature's unblockable spell.
Yes, very good with that. It's good with all flashback spells. It's good with Think Twice.
Well, what's the name of the spell I'm thinking of?
Artful Dodge.
Yeah, you're right. Artful Dodge is cool with Nivik Cyclops, because it's going to be 8 damage, you can get it. How much is the flashback? Isn't it 1 again?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, it is.
Was Invisibility the one that made creature unblockable? Was that only 1 blue mana?
Infiltration. Or Infiltrate?
I'm thinking like the original.
Oh, no, that was 2 mana. Invisibility is 2 mana. It's an enchantment.
I see. That was from Alpha, though, right? I kind of like the Alpha picture on that. I don't know why. It's just nostalgia, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, look how much the art's changed since then. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Much more mature.
I'm calling it right now. I do kind of feel like they're going to release a set that prints like this again. They'll just do a special set that's like a...
That'd be really interesting.
You know what I mean? Like a homage to the original. So they'll do like this old school look again. I think they will. So Nivik Cyclops, though, it's interesting. Where do you think it'll be in the picking order? Because it's sort of a build around if you're going down.
Yeah, I think it's a little low in the picking order, especially since it's first pack. People don't generally get drawn into Izzet, I think it's something that you go into because you have to.
It has synergies with the Defender-themed cards, like Axebane Guardian, Doorkeeper, which is on color. What are some other of the... I think Return of Ravnica was a set that rewarded you for the Defenders, right?
The Defenders, I'd say, yeah. I don't know if there was really a Defender strategy in the...
There wasn't really too much that was on color with it, besides the Doorkeeper, but that's still kind of cool that you can do that. And if you think about it, the mill cards would probably be instants or sorceries. So then... Actually,
okay, kind of cool with Paranoid Delusions, too. But, not really.
No, actually... Oh, I see, because the Cypher wouldn't hit until... It's the same...
It's the same problem with everything.
Incursion specialist in...
Everything that wants you to cast spells, it doesn't work with Cypher the way you want it to, sadly.
Alright. Notion Thief is the next card. It is a rare 2, a blue, and a black for a 3/1 flash human rogue. Actually, I think we did talk about this card. But if an opponent would draw a card except the first one he or she draws in each of his or her draw steps, instead that player skips that draw and you draw a card. Maybe we didn't. I don't know.
I don't remember, but if we didn't, this card's cool. And it should be noted that not only is this card obviously a big FU to Sphinx's Revelation. But like the guy, the Notion Thief in the art, is reading the runes from a Sphinx's Revelation.
No way, is that
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really funny.
They're the
that they did
Azorius runes that they use, but that's the same type that they use on a
Sphinx's
Sphinx's Revelation.
That's
yeah.
really funny. So
So
it's even
like obvious call out to it.
It's like indicative of the route
Yeah.
you're supposed to go.
Yoink!
That's cool. It's also good against what else would it be good against? What's some other things that generate? It'd be good against Big Garrett.
Yeah.
When they like come in and you know what I mean? Where they're like, oh, okay, well, I'll draw 6.
And you can flash this guy in, or Faithless Looting, just to screw them really hard.
Yeah, then they lose the card.
You just have to discard 2 cards instead, and I draw 2.
And it's really like 3 because you're losing your Faithless Looting too.
Yeah.
So that's a huge hose. That's funny.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate FU to Faithless.
I haven't seen Faithless Looting in forever.
Yeah,
it's not played. It's really kind of interesting that card's not played because even though it's just a filter, it's like careful study saw huge. I bet it sees legacy play. I bet Faithless Looting sees legacy play.
I'm sure it does. I just wouldn't.
But no constructed play. Even the Reanimator decks don't need it.
They use green instead.
I think Notion Thief will be resigned to sideboard.
Oh, it's a sideboard card.
As probably like a 2
for
or
4.
something.
Yeah, it's way too narrow. It doesn't serve any purpose other than to screw over draws.
Yep, and 4, it doesn't have evasion. If it had flying, I would definitely say it could be constructed playable.
Yeah.
It would be very easily constructed playable. But no evasion whatsoever, and it's a rogue with no evasion, even sadder.
Yeah, Flash isn't that roguey. I mean,
roguey.
A rogue. He could have Flash and can't be blocked, or at least protection from something. I don't know. Green.
Obsidian's Aid we went over. Progenitor Mimic. I don't think we did this one. 4, a green and a blue for a mythic shapeshifter. You may have Progenitor Mimic into the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it gains at the beginning of your upkeep. If this creature isn't a token, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of this creature. Wow. That's really cool. So it's like copy a creature and then make copies of that creature. So it's almost like a mashup. It's almost a mashup of like Followed Footsteps and
a clone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is basically a mashup of Followed Footsteps, or a clone with a Followed Footsteps attached to it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. And it's not an aura like Followed Footsteps, so you don't run the 2-for-1 risk.
You can hit. Well, yeah, you can hit hexproof creatures or have them enter as hexproof creatures because of that. So that's cool.
This is a cool creature.
Yeah.
Is it going to see play?
Limited.
Unfortunately, Unfortunately, hexproof. There's not. The window of creatures you can copy with hexproof is actually relatively narrow. There's Invisible Stalker. You can't copy Geist of Saint Traff.
Not without killing it.
And what are the other
expensive kill spell?
Really, what are the other good or even? I think I looked it up recently, and there were so few hexproof creatures in Standard. Honestly,
I think they're also careful on what type of creatures get it.
I have to look up text on this one. Alpha Authority, Angelic Overseer, Domri Raid, and that's only in the Ultimate. Drog Captain. That's
actually
other
that
creatures.
Would be a really cool one to.
A Drog Captain is a good one because you copy the creature and then they both gain hexproof and get bigger.
They get bigger.
And they're going to constantly get bigger. All right, that one is actually an interesting one. There's also Elgod Shieldmate. Geist of Saint Traff said doesn't work with this card. Glaring Spotlight generates some hexproof. Horror of the Dim. Invisible Stalker. Lazov. Yeah, I guess Lazov is. Lone Revenant.
Which doesn't work with this.
Well, kind of. I mean, it does. It just
getting
you don't
a
4/4
hexproof is okay, but it doesn't generate you any more advantage than that.
Lumberknot was always a cool one in the right deck and limited. Mask of Avacyn generates, Mizium Skin, Wanvuli Beast Tracker only searches it up. Oak Street Innkeeper was like the worst card ever. Primal Hunt Beast had hexproof, Ranger's Guile. So there's a little bit more than I thought, but it's also a lot less creatures and some spells. Sigarda, can't copy that one. So it's narrow on hexproof creatures, but it's still good for bombs. And they have to deal with it immediately, otherwise you're just going to go. Like, can you imagine doing this with any of the Primordials? You know what I mean? Like Sepulchral or something.
Yeah, that's very true.
That would be sick. Doing it with Luminate, just exiling their board. Just keep exiling their board.
Until they deal with it,
Yeah.
It's very good, actually.
And it's with the primordials, it's insane because you're never affected by it either. So even if they run out of like stuff you can abuse, Molten would be sick.
Yeah.
Play Molten. Oh, you survived this turn. Play another one.
Sepulchral would be like the ultimate one, though. Or Sylvan. Like, destroy one of your lands.
Oh my god, every turn. You're right. And that one's close. That one's on color.
Yeah.
Progenitor Mimic, I mean, it's a mythic and a rare.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it that often. But if you ever did, that is cool.
People pass Sylvan, though, late.
Yeah, I don't think this card will get passed, but not terribly often. I feel like it's pretty close to a first pick. And if you're on color with it, you definitely want to see it. But, I mean, you're only in pack 1 when you see it. So this is a powerful effect.
Yeah.
Just really powerful. And it's really cool, actually, in Simic, because then you can copy a big creature from on their board and, like, evolve your stuff. And then maybe even keep evolving.
Hopefully. That's the dream, of course.
This is a cool card.
I do
Picture's very crazy.
Yeah. I don't like the art that much, actually.
It's dark, and he's done some other stuff, too, right? Or,
yeah.
I don't even know how to pronounce it.
He's a good artist, and I do like this piece, but I don't like it for this card. It doesn't feel Simic-y enough to me.
Simic-y.
Yeah, is that a word?
It is now.
Okay.
Mimic sounds like a Simic-y word, though.
Yeah. Simic-y mimic. Smimic. They should have just called it Smimic.
Smimic. Putrefy is the next card. There's a reprint. 1 colorless, a black, and a green instant. Destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. I like Putrefy. You excited to see it back?
It's a very good bring back, I think. I like it a lot.
Obviously more versatile than Murder. Can't be regenerated is a key difference. And it hits artifacts as well. I guess we could note there's not a ton of relevant artifacts at the moment, are there?
All the key runes, I suppose, if you really wanted to.
I haven't really seen that in Constructed. I'm thinking of purely for Constructed. I don't know.
I don't think there are. But
I don't know of
the
any
fact that you
super
can hit
playable
any creature and it can't regen is really good.
I think Putrefy has the best long-term value. Putrefy is going to be very good in possibly the next set when it comes out.
I'd say this is the best removal spell available right now, hands down.
In Standard?
Yeah.
Wow. Besides that, you're playing Murder, you're playing Tragic Slip, you're playing Devour Flesh, and that's not even spot removal, really.
Yeah.
And actually, Devour Flesh is weaker than an old, well, arguably weaker than an old card, the Diabolic
Edict.
Yeah, but since you can do it defensively, I guess you could also say it was possibly more versatile or something.
You can block and then use it, I suppose. But Putrefy is just, if you want to remove something, it's gone. That's Putrefy.
Yeah,
and it's really nice.
It's a cool picture, too. I think I like the old one better. Kind of look at it.
Yeah, the old one is cooler. Red text, too. That's not it.
Oh, yeah. The old pick of Sweet. This is the one I was thinking of. I knew it was cool. I just didn't remember it specifically. But it's almost like a zombie white-looking thing.
Oh, no, this guy's just...
It's just a guy getting putrefied?
Putrefied, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would happen. So putrefaction is like the rotting of flesh. So it's kind of cool that... And it's in Golgari where it really feels at home, too. Where it's like,
God, this card was so cool when it came out.
They have... Everything in Golgari is called, like, rot worms and rot this. And
it's sweet,
It's a cool guild.
Rot farm.
And because there's so much rot, you see so much zombies. So I'm all about it. Ralzeric, we did talk about Render Silent, yes. Rot farm, Rick. All right. Savageborn Hydra. Here's one we did not talk about last week.
Okay.
And I like this card quite a bit.
I did too.
It's a green and a red and X. And it's mythic. So it's a Gruul mythic. It's got double strike, and it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So the more mana you pump into it, it's almost like it's getting double boost. But in addition to that, you can also pay 1 colorless and a hybrid red or green, and you get to put another +1/+1 counter on it. But you can only use it in a sorcery, so you can't do it in response to spot instant speed removal or something. But
and you have to open yourself up to instant speed removal after each activation.
I'm trying to think how playable this card is in Constructed. It's obviously a limited bomb, but
things without hexproof that require you to pay X to bring them out are really risky. This thing will die a lot if you play it in constructed. It's definitely a EDH card.
Yeah. Double Strike is good, but it's really only good alongside Rancor. I feel like this card with Rancor in Standard is very good.
Mm-hmm.
You can make that work, but they're not going to be in Standard long together unless they reprint Rancor again.
Nah, I doubt they will.
Yeah. They could, though,
They
because Rancor really didn't do all that much in this limit. It did stuff for a little while. It still sees a little play. I play it, but it's not a super popular... It's not a staple. There's much more value in Standard right now than Rancor, in my opinion. But Savageborn Hydra would be a reason to play Rancor, definitely. Very strong.
It is cool. I like the art.
Talked
about those.
Yep.
There's
Here we go. Okay, here's the Boros Lord, which we did not talk about. So this is a 2 colorless, a red and a white legend human soldier, 2/2. He's indestructible, and he has battalion +5/+5. What do you think about him?
He's sweet.
Constructed, limited?
Well, probably limited only, but I guess if this is the card to make Boros constructed, or, next to Legion, or whatever that Legion card is.
Skynight Legionnaire?
No, the one with Niv Mizzet on it.
Is it from this set?
Yeah. What was the one just up there? Just a little longer. Right there. Legion's Initiative.
Oh, I see.
So make him a 3/3,
Oh, yeah.
And he actually works really well with that, just because there's not really a lot of removal that will take him out. And he
At that point, yeah. So you dodge O-Ring, you dodge your Detention Sphere, you dodge Terminus. Cool.
But, I mean...
He's a little clunky for his cost. His battalion doesn't generate any sort of trample or first strike or other... He does get huge. I mean, he becomes 7/7, which is super relevant. It kills, like, everything. Kills all of the important huge creatures, including... I can't think of the one that exiles 3. The Angel.
Angel of Serenity.
Angel of Serenity. So it even takes that out.
But she takes him out, too.
Yeah, that's true. And he would come down sooner. But I don't think he'll see constructed play, but he's a cool card.
Yeah.
How about Commander? Do you think he would be a decent Commander?
I think so. I think it's a very...
He'd be a fun Commander, probably.
I think it would be really fun.
And then you could just play, like, a lot of cards that generate 2 creatures at once. So you could play alongside
think about, like, Assemble the Legion in his deck, or also Goblin Assault, or whatever the one is where...
You get the Hasty Goblins?
Haste Goblins.
Yeah, in shards. That'd be cool.
And then there's a lot of them, actually, that generate white and red goblins, or there's at least a couple. Rise of the Hobgoblins, and the one from Apocalypse where you pay 2 and sacrifice a land or 2 lands and put 2 1/1 red and white goblin soldiers out, too.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, that's sweet.
That one's cool.
So I don't know if he's a slam first pick, to be honest. I'm not sure.
He's good in the Boros deck.
I would say he's
annoying, too. Indestructible is annoying. In limited.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, you're right. Indestructible was annoying in limited. And it's not very... It's not on a ton of creatures, especially in this block. I'm trying to think of other ones.
I don't even think it really is on anything else.
Yeah, so it's in that respect, it's very unique, yeah. But it's a cool card. If you're in Boros, you certainly want to play it. Battalion's pretty huge. I don't know if I'd slam first pick it. I might take a really good piece of removal over it. But indestructible, like we said, so it's at least a very good blocker. Pretty good card. I could see it being first pickable. And you're going to pick it up relatively early otherwise. But it is a 4-drop 2/2.
So, take it or leave it.
Not a super fast, not a super efficient beater unless you have Battalion. And if you're in Boros, you want to beat down, those Gate Crash Boros creatures. There's like a million 2-drop 3-power or super value 2-drops. True Fire and Sun.
But if you get enough of those early guys, then
he
becomes that much more valuable as most likely a 7/7 turn 4.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and 7/7 indestructible.
Yeah.
That's tough deal. It's alongside Legionnaire or something. Legionnaire follow up. Whatever. He's cool. Toil and Trouble. I can't read it.
Yeah,
Sideways. All right, let's do Unflinching Courage because we did not talk about this card.
You gotta look at this picture a little closer.
We have an aura, and actually, this aura is almost identical to. This is the first time I've seen this card. So it's. Why can't I think of Armadillo Cloak?
Yeah,
it's almost a direct reprint of Armadillo Cloak. The difference being they've updated it to lifelink instead of the
and it's uncommon as well, so it does not stack with itself. And
which was really why Armadillo Cloak was so out of control sometimes, because the math on it became like insane when it was like, oh, 2 Armadillo Cloaks, so I gain at least 8.
Yeah, I gain double what his power is each time he attacks.
Yeah. It's really sick.
Yeah.
But Unflinching Courage is going to be super highly played. This card is excellent. Armadillo Cloak is such a powerful...
I can't help but feel like this art is misplaced and like should have been...
It's kind of a weird picture. It's a picture of like a... What is that? A little rhino? Or...
It looks like a dinosaur to me.
It's like a little dinosaur running alongside a little brownie or a little person.
Which...
Is that a little person? What is that? I can't even tell. It's a really strange picture.
They're like satyrs or something.
They're like, oh yeah, you're right. It is like a little, it's like a little deer person, a little satyr. And it's like, what's that tail too? It's a crazy picture. Who did it? Do you know that?
Mike Burek. Yeah, he's done other stuff for the game before, but it just looks like it's not for this set. It doesn't even... I mean, it's all forested and stuff. It looks more like it's for a different set. It's weird.
Yeah. Picture not that great. Card excellent.
Yeah.
I think you could even first pick this. This is an aura that you could first pick because it's so swingy. Mark of the Vampire was a highly played card in core set. This is a mana cheaper and gives you trample. So, I mean, it is a little more color intensive, but still, this is a super good card. I'm just thinking of all the creatures just in Celestia. I mean, even on a token, this thing is insane. Put it on, you know, your 8/8 Vigilance guy, suddenly is a 10/10 lifelink trample Vigilance. That's insane.
Yeah.
Any flyer that you're putting this on, you should feel pretty good about.
Yeah.
Like, how about suddenly your Vassal Soul is like a 4/4 trample lifelinker?
Rubbleback Rhino or whatever is good with this. Hexproof trample lifelink.
How about Rowboat Raiders?
Yeah, that one's obviously very good.
Rowboat Raiders with this guy would be sick. But this card is going to be highly played. And I do actually think it's an aura worthy of first pick because Armadillo Cloak, we did our...
It's similar to Gift of Orzhova, too.
Yeah, in terms of swinginess, I agree. Remember when we were playing Invasion Block? I think we like almost slammed first pick in Armadillo Cloak, I think. We did really good, too. Yeah. We made it to the finals.
Yeah, we were like 5-color, too, or something. We were in lots of
colors. Actually, we first picked Daragaz, but we like very early picked up Armadillo Cloak. We were 4-color. You're right. We had that 3-mana enchantment that let you use all your land as differently.
Oh, Pulse of Llanowar, yeah. That card's
or
so
maybe it's even 4 mana.
Yeah, it's 4 mana, but
it's expensive.
All your basics get to tap for any color.
Invasion was slow too, so it was like it was totally doable.
And all the creatures were weak and expensive.
Yeah, not a super efficient set.
No.
But yeah, like I said, Unflinching Courage is gonna be a super high pick. This is the first time I've seen that. It's very cool that they're bringing that back. It really shows you they're trying to push the aura theme again. They've been trying with Madcap.
Yeah. I just get the impression that they're gonna go for like an enchantment theme set with the next set.
Just kind of dip away from the equipment. If you've noticed, the equipment in this block has been overall very weak or fair, balanced. Civic Saber.
Probably the best of them.
Yep. Riot Gear is only mediocre, and we usually only play it in our draft decks when we're short on playables. It's fine.
And it's terrible.
It's done some good stuff for us. Riot Gear has done some good stuff. Like, I like it on, you know, the 1 toughness guys. But overall, it's only mediocre. So the equipment that we're getting this set is relatively weak in comparison to older blocks, I think.
And that's fine that they move away from
No, I have no problem with that.
They had really good equipment in Innistrad block and in Scars, so I'm happy to be away from it.
In terms of efficiency, Unflinching Courage and Madcap skills are much more efficient than any...
And Gift of Orzhova.
Much more efficient than any equipment generating that same effect would be.
Ethereal Armor. All of those are very good.
Oh god, and Unflinching Courage with Ethereal Armor is just begging to be
Madcap skills and Ethereal Armor is really good too.
Unflinching Courage, Madcap skills. That's sick too. Yeah.
The possibilities.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that card. That's not excited to play against it, but to play it, yes. I mean, it's actually going to be really weak against the... Not weak, but it's going to be... You have to be more timid about it against the, like, Orzhov high removal decks. But...
Even Dimir could handle it well with the right timed Hands of Binding or whatever.
So far, I feel like we haven't seen a ton of good removal so far. You know what I mean? In Dragon's Maze.
Okay.
In Gatecrash, we talked about how much good the removal there was. So maybe it's going to be harder to, or easier to play auras in full block than it was to play, Madcap and Triple Gate Crash. Like sometimes Madcap almost felt unplayable when your opponent was like, oh, I've got 3 Devour Flesh, 2
Grizzly
2 Orzhov Charm, 2
and,
Grizzly Spectacle, or it's just like pew, 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 just Executioner Swing. It just never ends.
Angelic.
Because the removal dot deck is actually, I think, fairly unique to Gate Crash.
And very good for Orzhov.
Very good.
Vishino First Blade is...
Yeah, is the next one we haven't talked about. So this is a Boros card. 1 colorless, a red and a white for a 2/2 haste Vyashno Soldier. And when it enters the battlefield, it gets +2/+2 until end turn. Cool. So it's a 3 mana 4/4 haste. The turn you drop it, and then it's a 2/2. What do you think about this card? It is common.
I think it's good.
For the Boros strategy?
Common, yeah.
Alright. The reason it's good, clearly, is because it's Boros haste in a battalion is the guild. Battalion is the guild mechanic, and that's going to reward you for 3 creatures, so
and it's
it
like
attacks well the turn it comes into.
It has battalion sort of, if it attacks in with their battalion that turn, sort of, like...
Yeah, I bet the first iteration of this card when they designed it was haste battalion +2/+2 until end turn, and then I bet it played too well.
I bet it did too, yeah.
And then they were like, all right, we got to change that.
We can't do that at common, yeah. So yeah, I bet that's what happened, and this is a fine card. Sky Knight Legionnaire is good. This is fine. Probably would want the Sky Knight Legionnaire more, but I'd play this at 3. I'd play as much as I could into the battalion strategy if you could generate it.
The fact that this attacks the turn it comes in at 4, I mean, it's going to trade with something big or deal 4. So in that respect, it's very strong, and I like it. It's cool. Wow.
Yeah, it probably could have had like, I don't know, better power or something.
Yeah, maybe it could have been a 3/1.
Maybe just even.
But then that would attack too well.
Maybe just a 3/2 and attack as a 5/4 once.
I could see that.
But I guess that on turn 3 is like 1 short of Ball Lightning.
Yeah.
And you get to keep it.
Yeah. That's true.
So this is probably the most fair it could be.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a Vyashno Soldier, and it's kind of a homage to older Vyashno cards that were similar. Not usually it was the Vyashnos would like bounce themselves or something, right?
Well,
that was like
they came in and had haste, and then at the end of the turn they would bounce themselves. So
this
it was like a take on
this
Ball
one.
Lightning.
Yep, and this one's a little bit different in that
it only attacks once as a bigger guy.
But it's similar. But it's similar that it's like weaker after it attacks or something to the other Vyashnos.
Or it's only important the turn it comes out, basically.
Yeah. Voice of Resurgence is the next card. This is a mythic, green and a white elemental 2/2. Whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, or when Voice of Resurgence dies, put a green and white elemental creature token onto the battlefield with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. So what do you think about this? And constructed and limited.
2/2 for 2 is efficient. The picture is strange. It
is a strange picture. I just realized what it is too. It's like almost like an elk or an antelope head on like a almost humanoid looking body.
Yeah, I think obviously it's an elemental, so it's the personification
strange mashup.
Resurgence, I guess. I don't know.
But what do you think about the card? The power,
it's cool.
The power level.
I honestly, looking at it, you'll probably immediately go to, put a copy of this onto the battlefield. Got it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the way that it's worded, you would start to just be like, okay, I get an extra copy of this if those conditions are met.
Oh, I see.
But
so it can really. So really, it's like a 2 mana.
But it doesn't do that. I'm saying, like, when I look at it,
I see.
I initially think it's just copying itself.
At the very worst, it's a 2 mana 2/2 that when it dies, you get a 1/1, right? So that's like the worst that Voice of Resurgence could be.
It is good in multiples, though.
Yeah.
2 of them.
Because then if you get swept, you get
2/2s.
Yep. So that's kind of cool.
Beyond that, even more so.
But it doesn't work amazingly well with sweepers otherwise, though. It's kind of the problem. Because if you have like 5 creatures in this guy and they sweep you, you're only getting a 1/1.
I think this should have been a 3/3.
2 mana 3/3. So like, yeah, no, you're right because they've done that already at Uncommon with Watchwolf and Call of the Conclave in block.
And with no other ability to go with it. And this is like a 2/2 with kind of a lackluster ability, It's it produces you a token, yeah, but under very specific conditions, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Supreme Verdict gives you 1 token most likely to have on your board. It's just the conditions are very specific, and I feel like as a mythic, this one doesn't hold up to the same thing that the rest of them were going for.
Like I can feel it being a mythic, but you're right, they needed to push the power a little bit more on the power and toughness. I think, especially since it's in green white.
And 3/3 for 2 is not overpowered.
In green white, they're like the most efficient creature colors.
And even if it was 3/2.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
At least you.
So you're right. It feels a little bit underpowered at Mythic. You know, I'm always hesitant about the cheap Mythics. I think that's a big problem I've always had because I've always felt that something that's Mythic should be expensive. But even if that's not necessarily true, it just feels like it should be a difficult spell to cast.
It is
if
always
it's a
strange
spell.
to have like your Lotus Cobra or your utility mythic creature.
Yeah.
And this one is like,
yeah, it's fairly utility. It's not like a sick win con, I don't think.
Yeah, this doesn't come down and change the game necessarily. Your opponent has to play around it a little bit.
Yeah. So the counter spells you'll get punished for, and like sorcery speed removals.
Yeah, I mean, this only is for your Voice of Resurgence
Actually,
your opponent's playing stuff.
I was wrong about the sweeper effect. A sweeper would give you 2/2/2s because they played a spell plus this guy dies.
No, it's only a spell during your turn. Or so
so it wouldn't.
So during their turn, all sorcery speed removal is still okay. They only have to kill this to get rid of the effect, and it doesn't affect your other creatures.
So it kind of dodges instant speed. Not really dodges, but they get punished a little bit harder for instant speed removal.
Yeah, but
because you'll end up with at least 2/2/2s
if they're using their instant speed removal to remove.
If they use it at instant speed, and only that. Yeah.
They can just instant speed remove another creature you have instead. And
I'm interested to see what happens with this card, though.
Yeah, I think it's just a kind of in general humdrum, maybe sideboardable.
Well, the reason, definitely sideboardable. Actually, I could see that. But these colors, it's an interesting way to generate value in these colors.
Yeah,
it's an interesting take on it. I think it works well with cards that generate multiple creatures for you. Certainly going to be playable in limited.
I would have much rather that it gave you a copy of itself, actually, and then it would have been something to deal with.
Gave you a copy of itself.
If those conditions were met, put a copy of Voice of Resurgence
so then it like
on the
just
battlefield.
Keeps recycling itself.
Yeah,
I almost feel like that might have been something they tried with it, and then maybe
it's too strong
because it just kept recycling. Maybe it was like too annoying. I don't know.
You exile it or you bounce the token once they generate the token.
But unfortunately, the way they have it now, it does feel a little bit underpowered.
Yeah.
But maybe someone will break it, and I just haven't figured out how yet.
I can't figure it out.
I mean, when it dies, you get it, so it's at least a controllable to a certain extent.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
Not good enough. Okay, War Leader's Helix is the next card. This is a 4-mana, it's a Boros spell. It's kind of a cool picture only because the Boros Angel, it reminds me of the older Ravnica set. It reminds me of like Razia and Firemane Angel and stuff, but excuse me, 2 colorless, a red and a white. Instant, 4 damage to a target creature player, and you gain 4. Wow. Excuse me. So 4 mana, 8 life swing. That's
at
cool.
Instant speed,
yeah, that's cool. Is it going to be constructed playable? It's an instant. Yeah.
I feel like probably a 2/of is okay for this card in constructed.
Does control want it? Because it's also a removal life gain spell. I feel like this is totally America.
Yeah,
even
Control wants this.
Even America mid-range could do this because of that's actually really cool.
Well, this gives them very good
Snapcaster Mage
against mid-range and against aggro.
Snapcaster Mage with this.
Aggro in particular, just destroy that and I gain life.
So if you sack the creature that they try and kill in response, they would or would not?
They counter the spell. Yeah.
Okay, so they would not gain the life. Okay, good to know. Still, that, I mean, obviously, it's like a snap pick in limited, but so it's easily a slammable first pick. Constructed playable, yes. I would say a mid-range, possibly even a control deck, sideboarding it as like a 1 or 2/of.
I could be really relevant. Control playing this main deck. as a 1 or 2 up.
I like it. It's very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Warped Physique is the next one. Cool picture. It's like a huge, tremendously top heavy looking, top buff looking guy. And he's got little chicken legs. He's a blue and a black. Uncommon instant. Target creature gets +X, -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Cool. So it doubles its pump spell and a removal spell. They've done stuff similar to this.
Oh, it is +X, -X. Okay.
They've done stuff similar to this before. I'm trying to think of one. And what was the scry one where it was like you scried and then they would get +X, -X? It was from.
It wasn't scry. It was erratic mutation. And
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
reveal until you reveal non-land, and they get +X, -X.
I remember that being used as a removal spell
that
in that set.
That was a sweet card.
Because it was mono blue. So this is blue black, so it's got the color of removal in it. But the fact that it doubles the pump spell, I mean, I think this is fairly high pickable. I guess cards in your hand. So this is kind of dependent on your deck. Otherwise, it's always going to be good on turn 2 in limited, or constructed probably for that matter too. But later game, it's not going to be that strong, and I think that's kind of an issue with it. And if you have a very top-heavy deck, so you have a lot of 5 and 6 drops, I could see running these in multiples being very good. But
it seems a little underwhelming, I guess, but it can kill stuff. It's good limited for sure, but I don't like it for constructed necessarily.
Yeah, I think it's definitely limited playable, but if you're a really low curve, you're probably gonna have a harder time playing the spell. You'd have to I mean, you can if you're running like 2 or 3 of them, you can sort of sandbag lands if you're getting flooded.
Dimir doesn't have a hard time playing this spell though, because they don't really generate much until turn 3 or 4 anyway.
Yeah, and then if they're running an expensive cipher like Shadow Slice or something, you'd still be able to get away with playing this early. So I could see that. And even actually another one that's good alongside it is like a Death's Approach, because you'd hold the Death's Approach until you play this, and then you'd probably play your Death's Approach too, you know, after you use that as a removal.
Yeah, that's
true. That'd be kind of cool. And it's on color with it.
Yeah.
So it's certainly playable, and it's in a color that it'll feel good as a removal spell, and it'll definitely see some limited play. Doesn't feel necessarily strong enough to be uncommon in my mind.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but
yeah.
But
it is
we'll
instant.
See. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we're not giving it enough credit because it doubles as both a pump spell as well.
It is pseudo controllable 2 mana removal. You know, you could just sand big cards until you get to 6 and just kill everything. You know.
Oh, crazy cat. All right, so clue stones. You know, we did not talk about these.
Yeah,
so these are.
I think we can just lump sum this.
Okay. So they have one. Yeah. They have one for each cycle. And they're kind of like the key runes, and they're in that respect the signets from the original Ravnica. They're 3 mana artifact, and they tap for their guild's colors, and then they have pay the guild colors and sack it.
Tap it, sack it.
Tap it, sack it, and you get to draw a card. What do you think about them?
They're cool. They're cool and limited.
More or less than key runes.
I like them, I think, more in general than the key runes, because you can eventually get rid of them if you have too much or enough mana and draw into something more relevant. But I think they're just fine, or you can play the key runes over them. Either way. But I like the draw card off of your mana fixer, your early mana fixer. I wish they were 2 mana and came in tapped or something.
Yeah, I agree.
But, we got what we got. They'll be playable for what they are. The art is sweet on most of them.
And we got the guild gates, we have the mazes end. All right, let's go to the spoilers on MTG Salvation, because there's going to be a bunch we haven't looked at on here too. Let's see. Scion of V2 Ghazi? We didn't look at this one yet. So Scion of V2 Ghazi is a rare. It is 3 and 2 white for a 4/4 elemental. And if you cast it from your hand, put a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying onto the battlefield, then populate. What do you think?
Well, it's similar to, I guess, Geist Honored Monk.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Similar.
Not the same, obviously, but,
yeah.
But really close.
It's nice that it gives you an automatic...
2 creatures.
It's nice that it generates you a populate target. And the fact that you can get, if you have enough token spells, like a lot of way to generate centaurs or a lot of way to generate any of the fatties.
Rhinos.
Or the 8/8s.
Mm-hmm.
This thing's actually really good. It's cool, and some of the cards it just has random synergy with, like some of the mythics, like Udvara, Hellkite, or whatever, where you can make like a copy of 6/6 again, or
so much overkill,
or Stolen Identity.
Yeah, Stolen Identity is probably really good.
Copy your spell, play this guy, copy it again, attack, copy.
Yeah, but you don't get to populate off of the copy or anything like that.
What do you mean? Oh, of Cyanide Vitu-Ghazi.
So if you're planning on doing that, that's not something you can do because you have to cast it.
Okay, yeah. You're right. They made sure it's not into the battlefield, because otherwise, I guess they were worried about blinking it too much.
Well, because then I think you can just play Cackling Counterpart and just populate it over and over, like get your counter or your populate as the.
It'd be cool. I don't think it'd be OP because it's kind of expensive. It's a little mana intensive, but it's still it's interesting.
It's not that mana intensive to do it in standard. Like 5 mana and then Cackling Counterpart at any time and just start populating the Cackling Counterpart token I just put out.
So get another 4/4.
And then that one brings out another one. And then that one brings out another one.
Oh, it goes infinite?
If you had it as an enter the battlefield trigger.
I see. Okay. Alright, well then I guess that does make sense. Yeah, if you ever just tokenified this creature once this becomes
in this block
token.
With the Progenitor Mimic, it would be infinite if it was just an enters the battlefield trigger.
Yeah, so they had to be mindful of that. Okay. Let's see. Hidden Strings? Yeah, I don't think we looked at this card yet.
No, and this one looks crazy, actually.
This is a cool card. And since they're from MTG Salvation, I guess we need to say that
these might not be true.
These are like speculative still.
Yeah.
But there's a pretty good chance these are the cards. Sometimes they screwed up, but it's very rare. Hidden Strings is a blue spell, 1 and a blue sorcery. You may tap or untap target permanent, then you may tap or untap another target permanent. Cipher. Cool. So where are the most practical applications?
Well, this is awesome when you want to pre-combat tap down 2 of their guys, and then post-combat untap the 2 lands you spent to play Hidden Strings. And it at least allows you to always get to untap lands for the Cipher spells you play. So this, with Hands of Binding, is really good together, because then you can pay for the Hand of Binding the next turn and untap those 2 lands and play something else.
Also, and it's a common too. Also excellent with creatures with tap activated abilities. So cool with like Axebane if you want to generate like huge amounts of mana. Cool with like I don't know, Doorkeeper for mill or something.
If you have enough mana for that too, but you can untap land still. So.
Yeah,
Haven,
it fuels not only the creature's activated abilities, but the mana to pay for those activated abilities, essentially, right?
And that's really cool. If you have a Verdant Haven out, you play Hidden Strings, targeting your Verdant Haven to untap that, and then tap down their creature.
It's like it was a free tap down, plus maybe even get in and do it again. Really cool, yeah.
So, it's potentially a really cool card.
And it's absolutely going to see limited play.
Yeah, it doesn't have like the Frost text where they don't untap next turn, but it's still a very cool card.
I'm trying to think if you can break it somehow, but I don't think you can.
I don't think you can because it's combat damage dependent.
Alright, let's look at Aetherling. It's kind of a cool spell.
Yeah.
Is this a reprint?
No, that was Morphling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So cool. This is a rare. It's got a picture, so this one's definitely real.
This is real. This is actually spoiled on the mothership.
Oh, okay.
They just didn't put it on the spoiler list yet.
I see. 4 and 2 blue for a 4/5 shapeshifter. It has 4 abilities. First one is 1 blue, exile it, return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. 1 blue, it's unblockable. 1 colorless, it gets +1/-1 until end of turn, and 1 colorless gets -1/+1 until end of turn. What do you think about this card?
This is the control finisher, in my opinion.
So it is definitely going to see constructed?
Yeah, I feel like the fact that it's basically got
phasing.
You know, like
controllable phasing.
Yeah, that you want to blink it out and then bring it back, and you can blink it out again if you need to. It's unblockable if you need it to be. I hardly ever think that pumping's going to be relevant unless it's for the last final points of damage, but that's on there too. So this guy is really good. and I think it's very playable as a control kill.
If you pay your like 8 mana, you have 8 mana and you play them, you should feel fairly safe. Should still be able to
he won't die to anything for 8 mana.
Yeah, you could still syncopate. You can still, I mean, even at 7 mana, you get a chance to exile them once.
Yeah.
So forcing 2 spells on them, which is still very good. You're right. This is definitely going to be a control removal spell. The fact that it has the evasion and it can deal 8 damage, yeah, absolutely. This will be a sweet control finisher. I agree. Cool.
I like it.
This card's very good.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be really annoying in a deck with a lot that can generate a lot of mana. You know, you're right. It's the blue-white. It is like a blue-white finisher for sure.
It's going to play the same role as Morphling did, for sure, and most likely the same role as Rainbow Efreet, where you couldn't kill it, and it was like the most annoying thing because it also flew in for 3 damage every turn.
Crypt Incursion. I don't think we did this one. 2 and a black instant. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard. You gain 3 life for each card exiled this way.
That's cool.
Exile creature cards from target player's graveyard. Gain 3 life for each card exiled this way. I guess it's almost like the thing from Innistrad, Gnaw to the Bone, except it's your opponent's graveyard.
And you exile them.
You only get one shot on it.
But 3 life for each is huge.
In Constructed, this is cool because it stops any sort of undying.
And it's also good against the Reanimator deck for black, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have to play white to get the good Reanimator.
No, that's a good point. You don't have to worry or hinge on Rest in Peace and Purify the Grave. I guess there already was a black.
Tormod's Crypt too is available, but
I was thinking of the Curse of Oblivion. It's not a very good one, but it's still in black as a graveyard removal spell.
Crypt Incursion is particularly good because it's like in response to your Unburial Rites or whatever. I will Crypt Incursion you
get your Thragtusk.
And you already spent mana to get that effect. So
I mean, it's the same thing that Purified did, where they were like Unburial. Okay, 1 mana.
Well, you could also but you could also do it against them when they play their Angel of Serenity. You know, to stop
exile
them
the rest
from
of the
getting
creatures,
all of those
the
other
full
creatures.
value, so they're just getting a 5/6. Yeah, I could see that. So this card definitely not going to see a ton of limited play, but it might poke its head into some sideboards in Constructed.
Maybe, yeah.
Pontiff of Blight. Ooh, zombie is my favorite. 6 mana, no picture. 4 and 2 black, zombie cleric. It's a 2/7 extort, and other creatures you control have extort. Ooh, kind of like it.
I like him a lot.
I think it's cool. We're gonna see it played.
Go with Cormus Bell. Make all your swamps creatures.
Are we gonna see it played?
I don't know. In limited, it's gonna be a house, but
yeah,
I can't see it anywhere else. I guess 6 mana for a 2/7 is kind of weird. What do you think the picture is gonna be? Will it be like the human centipede zombie?
I don't know. It's a zombie cleric, so I'm envisioning some sort of armor-clad. Because it's an Orzhov card, right? It's a Pontiff.
But he's a Pontiff.
So it's going to be...
He should be fat and bloated.
Pontiffs... What's a Pontiff?
I feel like it's just like a cleric or a priest of some sort.
I gotta look it up. Pontiff.
Yeah, I think it's a position in the Catholic Church or something.
Any Pontifex, any high or chief priest.
Yeah.
All right. So it's just high priest. So you're right. Maybe it'll be more robed. It sounds like it'll be more robed if it's a
zombified. It's crazy that it's actually strange that they would have a zombie cleric. You would think it would not be. It would be a spirit or something like that, you know.
They've done zombie cleric before, though, right?
Yeah, but I'm
you just feel
specifically
like
talking
Orzhov.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the other zombies in Orzhov?
They don't usually have them.
They don't have any other ones?
They have thralls as like
thralls and humans.
Thralls and spirits are like their undead, sort of.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It is rare, so it's one of the unique creatures. Maze Rusher. No, we did that one. We did that one.
All the red ones.
Okay. Skylasher.
This one seems cool if it's real.
Is that a rare? I can't tell from here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 1 and a green, 2/2 flash, can't be countered. Reach Pro Blue Spider. Wow, that's a lot of abilities mashed into one card for 2 mana. That could definitely see constructed play. If counterspells get more popular, they're still, honestly, we were saying many podcasts ago, that Cavern of Souls was kind of wrecking the counterspell decks, but the truth is there's not as many decks now that have a consolidated creature type, so it's harder to take advantage of Cavern over counterspells. So counterspells are actually still pretty relevant.
Viable, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that you've played against that Esper Mill deck. How good are counterspells in that? Really good, don't you
Yeah,
think?
I think so.
Because it's like, play a spell, I counter it, don't, okay, I mill you. So Esper decks
that is really annoying.
Esper decks have a lot of control. They almost like force you to play into their counterspells. And this is a cool way around it. Beetle Form Mage is the next card. Simic. 1 colorless, a green, and a blue for a 2/2 human insect wizard. That's an interesting creature type. It gets +2/+2 and gains flying until end of turn for a green and a blue, and you can only activate it once each turn. Wow, that's a pretty strong card. So it's essentially it's almost like it's almost in the same vein as the Dark Thicket Wolf and the Frilled Oculus. Have you seen this card, Jake?
Yeah, the Beetle.
Beetle Form Mage. I really like this card quite a bit. Oh, and it gains flying? Wow. Yeah, that card's really strong.
Yeah, he is good.
His initial, he's a common. That guy's very good. I feel like that's really strong.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that's going to be a very highly picked Simic common.
2-mana pump is really good.
It really is.
Blocks well too, or at least rattlesnakes.
Attacks in for 4 flying on turn 4. Or if you want to pay for something else, you can attack in for. The sickest part about it is you can play it like Frilled Oculus and Dark Thicket Wolf, where you do it surprised. So you're like, okay, like this could be you. I want to play a spell post combat. Okay, I'll attack with my Beetle Form Mage. Are you gonna block? No. Okay, just take 2. Play my spell. So he's gonna play right alongside those guys, and this is probably the best iteration of it, since it is also like a win con, a much better, a cheap win con.
Yeah, kind of like Phantasmal Images, or not Phantasmal Images, but Phantasmal Forces, where you have an upkeep cost, but you've got a 4-power flyer. You know, similar to that, I guess. As a finisher, as far as finishers.
I like this card quite a bit. I think this is going to be a very, very highly picked card.
I like it.
Blast of Genius. We didn't do this one.
No, this was also spoiled on the mothership, so it's real.
4 colorless, a blue and a red, sorcery, uncommon. Choose target creature or player, draw 3 cards, then discard a card. Blast of Genius deals damage equal to the discarded card's converted mana cost to that creature or player. So it's like a nuke spell, plus it's a nuke spell plus card generation. I was saying this is not constructed playable, but limited. This is very insane. If you remember New Phyrexia Limited at all, they had the Mind Culling, which was 6 mana. You draw 2, your opponent discards 2. That was like a highly, highly picked card. And this is significantly better than that, in my opinion.
See more of your deck and get rid
removal
of one
spell.
something.
Yeah, removal spell plus 3 card draw. Very, very strong.
Potentially, if you have the card in your hand, you can just nuke your opponent too.
This card does not get worse in multiples. But we should say the weakness of the card, though, which is you choose the creature or player first before you get the choice. If it was like draw 3 cards, choose target creature or player, it would be much more insane. So they did sort of do a little balancing in limited, I think, by making you choose the target first. So, for example, let's say your opponent has a 5/5 and your highest converted mana cost in your hand is like 3. Are you bold enough to choose that creature?
I don't think I would be.
But I mean, the good news is even if you miss, you're still drawing 3.
Yeah.
Which isn't great at 6, but still
I feel like I'd almost always want to go for the lower power or toughness creatures. 3 being probably about where I'd be, unless I knew I had a lot of 5 or more cost things. The problem with is that typically the overload spells, the cost of the overload is greater than the original cost. So, this doesn't really play along well with its own strategy. It does work well with Scavenge, though. So in potentially blue-green red, blue-green red or blue-green red black. Excuse me.
Yeah, you could discard the
like bigger Scavenge guys, Terrace Worm or Karastic Monitor, like those cards are.
That's really cool. That'd be like value on value. That'd be a lot.
So there's potential there. It's just, you've got to be in the right color strategy. I don't think it's as good in Azorius as it is in the other, because all of the Azorius and Boros spells are fairly cheap. The ones that you want to be more aggressive with with that tricolor, I should say.
Well, we're running about an hour 47. Do you want to just do the drafting portion with me and then take off?
Yeah.
We can start it right away. I mean, it shouldn't take more than like 15 minutes. So there's a few more spoilers we didn't get to, but they're still not all spoiled yet, are they?
Yeah, they'll actually probably be totally spoiled by the time our podcast is up anyway.
Yeah,
so you
and
guys
then
already...
I think next weekend we'll probably do the rest of the set. This set is smaller too than. Oh, ooh, we joined right away. Sweet, so that's perfect.
Nice.
All right, ooh, exciting pack. I think I know my pick. All right, so this pack's rare is Luminate Primordial. Truefire Paladin is the uncommon that we are almost definitely going to pick. There's also Undercity Informer, Boros Elite, Syndic of Tides. Scorchwalker is interesting. Ruination Worm, probably a wheel. We're gonna slam the Truefire Paladins. Probably the best 2-drop in the format.
Yeah. Sadly, we're passing.
Maybe not better than Pack Rat, but
too.
Pretty close. It's no Pack Rat, but Truefire Paladin is insanely strong. We've completely owned boards with it before. It kind of sucks we're passing both Syndic and Boros Elite, and even Luminate.
Yeah.
We're passing a white signal, but we're not really passing a red signal, so we can still sort of clean up on that a little bit.
Okay. Maybe we pick up another Truefire at some point too.
All right, this pack has Pit Fight, Skinbrand Goblin, Ripscale Predator, Fortress Cyclops, Simic Charm, Gruul Guildgate, Salt Griffin. I'm cool with Skinbrand here over the Pit Fight. Pit Fight, if for Boros, is not as good.
No, it's not.
Could be good with Warmind Infantry. I like it quite a bit. It's good with Ember Beast. Maybe we do pick the Pit Fight, but I guess Pit Fight's stronger than Skinbrand Goblin. But Skinbrand Goblin is a very good 2-drop. What do you think?
I guess it's a toss-up. It's early still.
I think it's early enough where we can probably find a way to abuse Pit Fight. Like I said, Ember Beast in a Pit Fight is very good. Okay, Gore-Clan Rampager, Wojak Halberdiers, Active Treason. I think we're taking the Wojak here. Kind of sucks it's in the same pack as the Rampager, since we're close to being able to play that. But I think I value Truefire higher than I value Rampager, so Halberdiers here looks excellent. Hopefully we can find a bunch of Boros spells. Wow, another Halberdiers. There's also Ember Beast in here, but I think Halberdiers is, even with the Pit Fight, the Halberdiers is probably just the pick.
I think just filling up on 2-drops and as Boros as we can be is
usually works out. So we're taking the Halberdiers over the Ember Beast, even though the Ember Beast is better with the Pit Fight. All right, now we get the Warmind Infantry, which I think I like more than both the Bomber Corps, Court Street, and Aerial Maneuver. That's also in this pack. So we get a Warmind Infantry, which I'm happy to pick up. One of the better, one of the better Boros creatures, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's at a good mana cost. It's got a good toughness. All right, we can take the Guildgate here, but we also have access to Zarichi Tiger, Executioner, Swing.
I just want the Guildgate because we have already 3 2-drops that are 2-color.
You're right. So let's get a little more color consistency.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind dipping into black or green if we see a bomb enough spell.
And Swing's not bad. I just feel like we need to fix for our main color right now and see if we can't
make that work. Yeah. So far, so good, though. We're off to
a great start.
Yeah. So if we start getting cut in Boros, let's just start thinking about where our splash direction would want to be. That's actually another reason why Guildgate's good.
Well, we could take the Keyrune here, the Skulk, or the Syndicate Enforcer as a way to splash.
True. Keyrune would open us up easier for a black splash. Could be our fixing for it. Maybe we want that just in case we open like Obsidian or something. Or
it's also, in my opinion, the best one to use out of the 2 that we would have available for Battalion. To swing in with that one.
Oh yeah, it's hard to kill it.
Yeah,
that's true. So yeah, let's take the fixing over the Syndicate. I think I'm cool with that. Ooh. All right, now we can do Edict. Yeah, I actually like Edict quite a bit in Boros, and that's a fairly late one. Okay, this pack has Horror of the Dim, Purge the
I
Profane,
think
Claim the
Anemones
Maze.
is the most annoying and most likely to be seen in play.
Yeah, I guess they're all pretty lackluster.
Yeah,
Oh, we tabled the Cyclops, which I don't really like. Could also take the Predator, but I think we're probably aggressive enough to make the Cyclops work.
I do like Cyclops.
I don't
Like,
really like. I think I actually like Predator more, but keeping our mana curve down, we have the Orzhov Key Rune, which makes it a turn 4 playable. Could get a Madcap still. Who knows? Gift of
he's a
Orzhova.
good blocker. Oh, Nav Squad's much better though.
Alright, so this pack has Nav Squad and 10th Street Market on color with us.
Shadow Alley.
None of these are very good. I guess Shadow Alley could be the best. If maybe Naturalize would be annoying against Key Rune, maybe. If we're gonna hate something that affects us already. Alright.
Strider?
Third
Oh, no,
to
that's a really good
third to
maneuver.
last pick, Aerial Maneuver is pretty
That is
solid.
crazy. Somebody took the basic out of that pack. That's nice of them.
So pack 1 we're looking pretty good. We got very good cheap creatures and decent 5-drop
10
creatures.
playables out of, or like, I mean, I guess we've got 11 playables when you count our land, but
Okay, so pack 2, our rare is Mind Grind. We have another Fortress Cyclops, Basilica Guard, Skinbrand, Ember Beast, and I think the pick is really between Skinbrand and Ember Beast. So what do you think? Ember Beast is going to work better with the Pit Fight. Skinbrand is just going to add to our arsenal of 2-drops. I think because we have the Pit Fight, I'm going to agree with you that we pick the Ember Beast.
yeah.
So
Let's get like
let's
at
do
least
that.
3 creatures that Pit Fight is good with.
I could do that. All right, Syndicate is a very
yeah.
strong pick. Also in the pack is Gruul Keyrune, Dimir Charm, Scorchwalker, Death Cult Rogue. So some good Dimir cards for sure. But very happy to pick up the Syndic. Super strong Boros card. All right, now it's really just Bomber Core, I think. There's also Whispering Madness, rare remaining in the pack. Rust Scarab, Greenside Watcher.
Kind of do like Rust Scarab though, but I feel like Bomber Core is still.
Bomber Core's fine. I've learned to like this card a little bit more. It's especially good in what we've got going on, which is already like a super fast, aggressive start. We want as many 2-drops as we can to make that Ember Beast work.
We actually have a couple 5-drops already.
Be nice to see a Legionnaire or two.
Green.
Maybe it's greedy to ask for that. Who knows? The Syndic was a nice pickup. I'd like to see it there in Skyjacker too. Really, the 2-drops you have access to in Boros are out of control. There are so many. Skyjack, Syndic, Wojak Halberdiers, Truefire Paladin, Sunfire Guildmage, or Sunfire Guildmage, Sunhome Guildmage.
Yeah.
5
Alarm Fire,
could take the Night Watch, Armored Transport.
Ooh, Transport's actually good.
Transport in here we have Bomber Corps, Double Halberdier, Warmind Infantry, Nav Squads,
and Ember Beast.
And Ember Beast. So all of those are pretty good.
I mean, Assault Griffin's good too.
Assault Griffin is good, and we don't have a 4-drop. It's evasive. It's a little bit clunkier, but I kind of like it. I think it's just more powerful than Armored Transport. Only in what we're doing. Like Armored Transport might be better if we were already a little bit clunky if we were in need of cheaper creatures. But I do like Armored Transport, but I think I like Assault Griffin more.
Okay.
5 Alarm Fire is interesting, but I'm not an enormous fan of that card. How about you?
Not really.
Okay, next pack we have Drakewing Krasis, Frilled Oculus, Orzhov Keyrune, Rust Scarab. So it looks like
Simic is way open.
We can take a green spell here because we could still potentially go into that. Could take the Rust Scarab here. I don't know if there's anything else that's super great for what we've got going on.
And I don't want another Keyrune.
So Rust Scarab is a potential if we end up going into Gruul. None of these black cards that are remaining look very good. Okay, now there's Scorchwalker, which I think is the pick. There's also Basilica Guards, Hellraiser Goblin.
Hellraiser is too much of a liability.
I like the Scorchwalker. Yeah, Hellraiser Goblin is always too much of a liability. But Scorchwalker is excellent in the Boros deck. Really just lets you get a Lava Axe in. Alright, Towering Thunder Fist in the next pack.
Shielded Passage.
There's also Shielded Passage. This might actually be a Shielded Passage deck. Let me hide the green card for now and the Orzhov Keyrune, just to kind of get a better gauge where I'm at. I really like Shielded Passage. I like this card more now. And we've already got a couple 5-drops. These usually aren't too hard to come by.
We got 1 pack left too.
Yeah, let's take the Shielded Passage here. I like the card more recently. Also Shadow Slice. But I think you're right. We just take the trick. We haven't seen any Martial Glories yet, so So aerial maneuver, good defensively, good offensively. All right, good with Fortress Cyclops. Number Dose. I don't think there's much else in here for us. Gilgate, the Simic Gilgate's not on color with us. Naturalize and Shadow Alley. Yeah, let's just take a Fortress Cyclops. This pack, more blue, a little more black. We already have a Naturalize. Let's take a Midnight Recovery. We haven't gone into a third color necessarily yet, and we probably don't have to, but I'm just keeping the option open.
Paranoid Delusions here?
I think I'm just going to take the foil. I'm greedy. Nothing really on color with us.
Totally
Another pack
lost.
not really on color with us. There's Primal Visitation.
Blue is so open.
Voidwalk, totally lost. Totally lost is probably the best. So getting cut a little bit in the last pack here, or the second pack here, but we've got one more pack and we only need, looks like about 7 playables from it. So we got cut a little bit, but we still ended up with very good 2-drops. Just need to fill it out a little bit more. Okay,
Arrows.
now we have Arrows of Justice. We also have Massive Raid, Skinbrand Goblin at 2, some Gruul cards, but I think we'll stay on color. Yeah, I could go with the Arrows over the Skinbrand. Okay. We're a little bit short on creatures, but Arrows of Justice is just a little bit too strong to pass. All right, so now we have the Halberdier. I think I'm going to take the Halberdier over the Guardian just to fill up. Yeah, I think we just need to fill up on 2 drops here. There's also Madcap skills in here, Gyre Sage, which is very good. Even Aristocrat. All the good 2-drops are in here. There's a Madcap too, but I value Halberdiers more because I'm trying to just fill up on 2 drops. All right, Boros Charm versus another Syndic. I think we have to take the Boros Charm, but it's a little bit disappointing it's in the same pack as the Syndic. There's also Mark for Death, Treasury Thrall, another Assault Griffin, Night Watch. All of those our deck would love to have. But I think we just have to take the Boros Charm. It's a little bit too strong. All of the modes are very powerful. Like Scorchwalker, Boros Charm, either blood rushing or attacking is.
Yeah.
Double striking it, yeah.
Fortress Cyclops with Boros Charm is really good too on attack.
Yeah. Indestructible or double strike, either way.
Either way.
So we're at 13 creatures now. We do have a good amount of tricks.
Just need 3 more playables, 4 more, 3 or 4. With True Fire as a mana sink at least. But that's it.
Yeah, no other mana sinks. I think this is a slam 16 land deck as of now. But we're still short on playables, unfortunately. Alright. Unfortunately, I think we have to take the Ordrin Veteran. Could also take, I guess, the Active Treason. With all the battalion we have, that might actually be the best option.
I feel like it is.
I like it more than Ordrin, even though we're short on creatures. Also in this pack, Agoraphobia, Simic Flux Mage, Balustrade Spy, Aerial Maneuver. A lot of good cards. But Active Treason is always good, and Aggressive Boros.
People in this
excellent with Bomber Core as well. I guess we take another one. There's also another Nav Squad or Millennial Gargoyle. I think I'm just going to take the Act.
Okay.
I don't really like Gargoyle very much. I'd prefer to not play it. Alright, so now we can take Foundry Street. Can also take a second Scorchwalker. I'm not opposed to the second Scorchwalker. It's going to be better alongside the Active Treasons. I don't really like... I guess Foundry Street's actually good in this deck if we have that many 2-drop red creatures.
Actually, almost all of our creatures are red, too.
So Foundry Street's decent in here. He is cheap. He's going to get our battalion online. Yeah. But I think Scorchwalker's still more valuable for the deck. I just like it more. The potential getting in with an unblockable and just doing messy things. Got the Black Splash potential, so I guess we could play a Death's Approach, but maybe we just want the Nav Squad. I'd play Nav Squad over Fortress Cyclops.
Okay.
I think. I'm pretty sure. I like it more. Alright.
Ember Beast.
Really late Ember Beast. Very happy to get that. We were in need. Just solidify our final creature count here, so... It's also Death Cult Rogue, Hands of Binding remaining in this pack. Alright, we can actually probably play Massive Raid now. There's also Realm Right, Metropolis Sprite, Syndicate Enforcer, Snapjaw. Quite a few playables in here. Happy to take Massive Raid. Ivy Lane is the most annoying, so we're just going to hate that. Night Watch, happy to take that, and I think we actually play it in this deck.
Aerial maneuver.
Getting our
Familiar.
third aerial maneuver. So we really
Primal Visitation.
we ended up with some good options we can go with this deck.
Yeah, I'm very surprised to see how much white we were actually able to get aerial maneuver wise. That surprises me that we got so many.
Yeah. It was so late.
Yeah, that card shouldn't be that late.
What do you think aerial maneuver versus shielded passage? Probably maneuver.
I like maneuver more.
Yeah.
But
shielded passage is cheaper, but maybe this is more sideboard. We'll probably just play the 3 aerial maneuvers. I think I'm okay with that. No one really plays around that many aerial maneuvers either.
Yeah.
Ended up with a ton of tricks and removal. Active Treason is very excellent in this deck. We didn't get any sort of sack outlet for it, but it's okay. I think we probably try to make both acts work now. I think we're going to cut down our 5 drops because we're absolutely going to be playing 16 lands. But I'll put it all in for now, and we can take a closer look at what we're dealing with.
I would just not play the Fortress Cyclopses at all.
Okay, so we're at 27 with Fortress Cyclops, so we'll hide those. What else did we want to... We're at 25 now, so we could technically only cut one more and still be okay.
Massive Raid?
We have 14 creatures. I guess if you count Night Watch, it's a little bit more. Could cut the Massive Raid. Can't really cut a creature comfortably, so I guess we could cut Massive Raid. It's either we cut Massive Raid or we cut one of our acts. Do we want more diversity, or do we want to be able to steal more often? I guess steal is going to be better alongside triple Wojak Halberdier.
That's what I think.
Okay. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Alright, so we'll cut Massive Raid. Only because we're not short on creatures, but we're at like a point where Massive Raid probably won't get as good a value as it needs.
Much better with Bomber Core too. If they've got Drake Wings and stuff.
Yeah, I've had that happen before. Oh, yeah. Get the battalion to kill the blocker Drakewing. Definitely. We got double Ember Beast, which is going to be excellent with the pit fight. This deck overall is very strong. So we'll move in our guild gate. We're going to take a look at our colors here. Pretty even on red and white. We definitely need both, so I think we're just going to even up. That's only 15. Interesting. I wonder why they only did.
That is strange. But they calculated it.
I guess we do one more.
Weird.
I guess we do one more white. Because we do, I guess, slightly have more white than red. Although this is an extra red spell too. It's actually like dead even. It is actually just dead even. But so we have, I think we actually have more red. Well, we need both.
You have double red for
Scorchwalker, Blood Rush. Alright, let's do it the other way then. So 16 lands, 14 creatures, 15 if you count the Night Watch, which I usually do. Let's just separate our tricks and removal and I'll read it. Read the deck list. Overall, I'm very pleased with the deck. I think it's definitely got some very powerful spells in it. Okay, so our creatures are a Bomber Core, Syndic of Tithes, True Fire, 3 Wojak Halberdiers. 3 drops are 2 Ember Beasts, a Warmind Infantry. 4 drops, Assault Griffin, 2 Scorchwalkers. 5 drops, Night Watch, 2 Nav Squad Commandos. Our removal is, 2 drop, 3 Aerial Maneuvers, Pit Fight, and a Boros Charm. 3 drop, 2 Active Treason, Arrows of Justice. 5 drop, Angelic Edict. Yeah, this deck looks really good. I'm looking forward to playing it. Go to SeemsGoodMagic.com if you want to see new draft content I'm putting up, still weekly. Jake and I are live streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Central Time. You can contact me at Mortarpod at SeemsGoodMagic.com. Twitter handle is at SeemsGoodMagic. Follow us and you see when we're live streaming, when we're putting up new content. I'm starting a blog on the website. We're in the process of getting that. We had like a spam bot problem, so I'm kind of working on that. But look forward to that. I'm going to be periodically updating with what I'm doing with Seems Good Magic and stuff like that, and just showing you like pictures of cool games and stuff that happen. So I'm going to try and do a blog as often as I can. All right. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We've got some more spoilers for you next weekend. I'm sure we're just going to finish it off.
Yeah.
And in fact, the pre-release, the real life pre-release is tomorrow, right?
No, it'll not here and now, depending on when they put this up. It'll be the following weekend.
Oh, I see.
We have a tournament here for win a box of the next set coming out.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
And that's not...
But it's right around the corner in real life, and online's typically been pretty good about getting it online. So expect some draft videos of. I'm not sure yet if they're going to be doing Triple Dragon's Maze or Full Block right away. Kind of feel like they're going to offer both. I feel like they're going to do a Triple Dragon's Maze plus Full Block option.
Yeah.
I feel like they've done
they
that
always
before.
start that way when it's still within like the release season or the pre-release season. They always do triple of the set, even if it's small. Like triple new Phyrexia, because, well, that was just fun. But this will be fun too.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will see you next week.
Bye.